give your teams the information to provide the right experience for each individual. That's the power of human understanding, creating happier patients and better outcomes. Get proactive at nrchealth.com.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter.
Jen, I feel like that should be the motto of this program. Gunners.
Good morning, DC. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hope the other ones are doing well, even if you have not commented. Let's get the show going.
You learned that when we bring up the live mascot, we refer to it as the bird. Jen thinks that means that she can start telling me I'm number one using her fingers in a particular one. So
is there a listener who would disagree with me?
Yeah,
I'm thinking not.
There you go.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
Did you just flip me off?
No.
Yes, you did. You just flipped me the bird. Now, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't shape up, okay, and get your head straight, there, you just flipped me off again.
107.5, The Game.
It better not be hard for us to move on. We got a big challenge here in 2 days, but certainly going back to last week, what a win, what a night. Thanks to our amazing fans for that. And it was I did a interview today with Jim Rome, the national radio guy, and he was talking about the crowd, and that was one thing I mentioned was just however many seven false starts, 8 false starts that our fans caused. Texas A&M was a huge part of that game. Great night. Happy for our fans to finally beat Texas A&M. Happy for our players, but it was right back to work on Sunday, and I've been pleased with the practices this week. We've got a mature group and very workmanlike group. We've had a good week. We have to continue to prepare and go play well on Saturday, but nobody's sitting around patting each other on the back right now. We're in our minds. It's great to be ranked. It's great to be where we are, but we've got higher goals and feel like this is just the start of where we're going as well.
About 34 hours from now, we will find out. South Carolina and Missouri. Welcome in. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. We get you ready for a football Friday, whether it's high school, whether it's college, little NFL. Good game last night. Poor Tom Brady. Don't we all feel bad for him? Just everything is crumbling around him. He has had so much success. I do really feel, actually, some of the stuff coming out yesterday, feel bad for him. We'll talk a little NFL this morning, but we'll spend a lot of time talking about South Carolina and Missouri as we get you ready. You heard Shane Beamer there. That's from Carolina Calls. Last night, you heard it right here on 107.5. The Game is, that team better be ready. I'm excited. I want to see how South Carolina handles success. We always talk about handling adversity. What happens when things go a little south on you? Are you able to man up? Are you able to stand up? Are you able to bow up and go in and change the course, defend yourself? Well, now it's totally different. South Carolina's a little loved. People have loved South Carolina. The national media, everybody saw what transpired at Williams-Brice Stadium last Saturday night as Texas A&M was taken down by a sandstorm, by a raucous and rowdy crowd, by an opportunistic Gamecock special teams unit, an offense that scored just enough, a defense that held on just long enough, and now everybody kind of loves you. South Carolina's been the toast of the town, if you will. The crowd, the atmosphere. Josh Pate with 24/7 Sports. You just heard him talking about Jim Rome. You've flipped on and you've seen, if you've gotten on Twitter, you've seen the videos of what Williams-Brice Stadium looked like last Saturday night. South Carolina's ranked now. Marshawn Lloyd's getting a little bit of love. All of these things are snowballing. All the love and the culture and all the things that Shane Beamer's been building to, it can continue. Or it can evaporate very quickly on Saturday night. And I'm interested to see what South Carolina does. Look, this is a big moment for Shane Beamer. You might even define it as the biggest game of his tenure. Although, if they win, it'll probably be next week, too. It'll be the biggest game of his tenure. But this one actually might be one of the biggest games in the first 21 games of Shane Beamer's tenure because it will tell us how they handle success. Steve Spurrier's group, the last time we really saw success, was so good at putting the past behind them, putting the previous game behind them and moving on to the next one to a certain extent. Certainly we can think back to the big win over Alabama, followed by the tough loss to Kentucky. But how you handle these situations kind of defines you as a program? Was last week kind of a fluky thing? Was it taking advantage of a down team and now you can't rise back to the occasion? Or does South Carolina, for the first time since 2013, become bowl eligible by the end of October? We'll talk about it throughout the morning, get you some more audio from Carolina Calls, get you a little audio from Marcus Satterfield on Wednesday, and we will have our usual Friday lineup. Patrick Perret will hop in, join us starting at 7 o'clock, talk a lot of football with him, get into what has been a really good week of just storylines. Jimbo Fisher and what's going on at Texas A&M, obviously what's happening here at South Carolina. We'll get some predictions from you if you want to weigh in with your prediction this morning. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us on the Love Chevy phone lines. You can join us via our text line as well, same phone number. You can text in 803-404-6100. As always, you can join us on Twitter. Twitter's another avenue to get in touch with us at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R, if you want to go about it that way. Or as always, you can follow along on our live stream. DC, Dakar, already up and at it with us on the live stream this morning. I'm sure many more will be hopping in. You just go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, subscribe. You can hop on Facebook if that's your method of madness to join us. You can go to our Facebook page, 1075 The Game. You can watch there. Robin joining in. So we've got plenty of ways for you to offer a prediction this morning if you want to go with a score prediction. We'll pick this game, obviously, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. The Gamecocks a 3.5-point favorite now. Opened as 5, or it depends on where you look. But opened as about a 5-point favorite, and it's down to 3.5. But I'm excited. You know, we're going to learn something about. I like that opening clip there from Shane Beamer talking about the workmanlike attitude of this team this week, getting back to business. We talked with Tony Annan a little bit about that yesterday, about how coaches can respond coming off of big victories. And, you know, in terms of breaking the losing streak to Texas A&M, it wasn't like Texas A&M was a ranked team. It wasn't like South Carolina won a top 5 game. In the grand scheme of things, in the last 20 games, this is kind of neat. In the last 20 games, Shane Beamer has been able to take down Auburn. He's been able to take down Florida. He's been able to take down North Carolina, Kentucky, and now Texas A&M. And if you really think about it, those 5 teams, yeah, I know Will Muschamp took down Auburn in 2020, but Auburn had been a thorn in the Gamecocks side for, I don't know, roughly what it was, 60, about 90, about almost 100 years, 1933 to basically 2020. Auburn have been a thorn in the Gamecock sides. Florida is a team that you always want to beat. North Carolina seemed to be the game in Charlotte where things went south, completely south on Will Muschamp. You beat Kentucky, who, again, a thorn in your side for the last 7 or 8 years, and you take down Texas A&M, who you'd never beaten. Shane Beamer's racked up some really nice wins in 20 games. Missouri might not fall into that category tomorrow, but it would show a direction, in my opinion, show a direction of the program. How do you handle success? 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. Let's do what we always do. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. It's Gamecock Larry time. I'm sure there's going to be a prediction. Gamecock Larry, how you feeling this morning?
Well, I feel pretty good. I got old Mo the Tiger from Kokomo. I got your message about 3:15. And then I got a call. I think I got it nailed down to this anonymous call that night. About 2 minutes later, my phone rang and I answered it, and it was old Root Hog from Givers America. So that almost got me convinced that's old Root Hog. I'm going to figure it out between now and Monday morning, but I think I got it figured out. Been up since 3:30 because a number popped in my head. I've been debating for the last couple of days, 2 numbers. And about 3:30, the number popped in my head, 31-17. 31-17. And then another something popped, maybe more. Well, that's about what I was figuring, because I figured we're going to have a breakout Bradley gonna have a breakout game this season. He gonna have a breakout game. Our offense gonna have a breakout game, and it might be this weekend. And the other number was 41-24. So, but I'm saying 31-17 and maybe more. But let's see. That's that's all I got to say. But I want you and Mr. Ed and all the Gamecock Nation to get ready. I wish I could be out there, but I can't because I can't even get out my door hardly. But we're going to be all right. And I'm saying 31-17. And, oh, yeah, let me say something about this coach from Missouri. Drink, whatever you call him. Sitting down there on the floor, going into the dressing room, talking about Coach Spurrier. I respect Coach Spurrier. I wear the visor to, whatever you call it, a commemorate Coach Spurrier or something. Let me tell you something, Drake Witz. You couldn't carry Coach Spurrier's jockstrap. Get off that crazy thing. But come on down because we're waiting on you. That's all I got to say. Have a good weekend, Gamecock Nation. Love all y'all. Talk to you later. Go Gamecocks.
There you go. A very excited man. Anybody else notice something missing from those phone calls of late? Mr. Ed, you wouldn't, you hadn't been around long enough, but there was a rooster, little Jerry, Larry Gamecock Seinfeld has disappeared. Apparently he's run off. Gamecock Larry has lost his rooster. Used to crow at the end, and now the rooster has disappeared or became breakfast. One of the two. One of the two. I'm not real sure what. Rooster ran off or became part of the breakfast menu for Gamecock Larry. One of the two. Either way, we will continue this program. Unlike little Larry, Jerry, Gamecock Seinfeld, the rooster that was a part of Gamecock Larry's phone calls, we will continue on. You're listening to Bill Gunner, producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
He's 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. He is 6 touchdowns and 2 picks at home, 0 touchdowns and 5 picks on the road this season.
So, ding yourself on that. That's a ding right there. Isn't that keeping with Missouri, isn't that like a Drew Lock? Remember Drew Lock's stats at home? He was like 95% completions, 8 million yards, 100 touchdowns.
Drew Lock would play 3 games at home every year against Southeastern Missouri State, Northeastern Missouri State, and Southwestern Missouri State.
I brought that up. I brought up Drew Lock just to see you all flustered like that.
Yeah.
You have an almost irrational hatred for it.
Yeah, I just had it is completely irrational. I just almost gave myself an aneurysm. But yeah, people were like, wow, this guy's amazing. I'm like, 700 of his yards came against Southeastern Missouri State. That's an actual stat line from an actual game. It's ridiculous.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Oh, we are officially in tailgate season. You got to get out tomorrow. Enjoy the weather. It's going to be beautiful. Throw the football around at the tailgate. Maybe play a little cornhole. But if you've been suffering from issues with arthritis, if you got problems with your knees, with your hips, with your elbows, anything with your joints, really, well, it's time to call QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in an exciting new pain treatment with advanced regenerative medicine. It's a non-surgical alternative to what some people may be telling you. Again, if you've been experiencing that pain, people have been telling you need to take steroid shots. That's no fun. Medications that can throw you for a loop. That's no fun. Or even surgery. Definitely no fun. You need to call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860. Don't keep living with that pain. Learn how regenerative medicine can give you your life back. And again, it can do it with no shots, no drugs, no steroids. 803-281-6860. That's how you can get in touch with QC Kinetics today. And you can get a free consultation. Because let's be honest, I'm not sure you want me being your medical professional. But the folks at QC Kinetics, they are definitely ready to help you. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. So don't wait any longer. Call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860. Again, it's 803-281-6860. Call QC Kinetics.
This is Boomer Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Prevagen. Baltimore has enjoyed double-digit leads in all 8 games this season. Last night, for the second straight week, they held on, beating Tampa Bay.
All righty. It was a successful Gamecock Larry phone call. Thank you.
I got the contest at 7:20.
7:20 is when we're all right. Excellent.
7:30.
Yep, that's going to be 7:30.
Steve is a real Trojan user and paid testimonialist. Hi, I'm Steve, and I live in Austin, Texas. I work as a personal assistant to the owner of a large manufacturing firm.
That was a successful Gamecock Larry, yes, phone call. But that rooster's disappeared. Remember that rooster? All right, let's get the poll question up. Win and cover 3.5. The Rebels. Let's put the poll up. Yeah, you got to love the old Gamecock Larry. He is a staple of the program early in the morning. Got to get up early to hear him now. Got to join with us right off the bat. Let's see.
You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just
I broke my own finger. Morning, Anthony. Good to see you. Everybody's up, feeling it. A very strong start to the day. They did. That was a weird game last night. You are right. Pardon me.
JT's Jeep Ram has the largest inventory around. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT and get 0.9% finance from screaming traders in your
Yeah, what a game last night.
Let JT get you approved. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington. JT's Jeep.
I did not catch the end of the Virginia Tech game. Or the North Carolina State game. North Carolina State must have scored when they scored 12 there in the. Yeah, they were playing their backup MJ Morris. Let's see. I guess, yeah.
Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day. My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil high blood pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil high blood pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil high blood pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu. Okay for high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Good morning, Trey. Good to see all of y'all. We need to get I got to look at our subscribers. We got to get to 1,200. I need y'all promoting on the Twitters today. Heavy promotion.
Coming up at it's about 7:30 this morning, it'll be the Carolina Honda Powerhouse Ticket Giveaway, where you can win a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's South Carolina-Missouri game, tomorrow afternoon, South Carolina-Missouri game, right here via Carolina Honda Powerhouse. We appreciate them being the official sponsor of the Carolina Honda Powerhouse ticket giveaway. So coming up 7:30 this morning, mark your calendars accordingly, about an hour and 9 minutes, we will give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's South Carolina, Missouri game. A game that, as I was talking about in the opening segment, I am just fascinated to see South Carolina and to see Shane Beamer and how they handle it. And this is a game, too, that I'm not saying they need to blow. Some of you are sending in your predictions, and we'll get to those in just a second. They don't need to blow Missouri out, but we would like to see a complete performance. And a complete performance, again, doesn't mean that the offense goes out and has the explosive 500-yard day and racks up 35 points. I could live with a 24-10 victory where the offense just does what they need to do, runs the football, is efficient, does not turn the ball over, and the defense goes out and plays like they've been playing over the previous 8 quarters, and maybe longer. You can go back if you want to throw 16 in there and say Charlotte and South Carolina State as well. But the defense goes out and is efficient and plays the way that they have been playing, again, in the last 2 SEC games against Kentucky and Texas A&M. And South Carolina's offense goes out, again, is efficient, controls the football, wins the time of possession. It's very possible, and it will help. It will continue to help the confidence of this team. So what do we see tomorrow night? Give us your prediction this morning. Ron from Lake Marion weighing in on our text line. He says, Gamecocks 34, Baby Tigers 17, special teams responsible for 14 points. On our live stream, Roger weighs in, and he goes with Gamecocks 27-17. You got Robin on our live stream, who's going South Carolina 34-20. DC going 28-21 with the predictions this morning. So several of y'all weighing in and giving some predictions. Our good buddy, Jim in Carolina Beach, our local Clemson fan, he would predict, as you would expect, Missouri 24-21. And he's confused because there's no Clemson game this week, so he doesn't know what to do about his Tigers. John in Somerville, another one of our favorite Clemson fans. We do have a couple favorite orange-wearing. I can make a lot of jokes right now. Clemson fans. Missouri, he goes Missouri by 50, which is down because normally he's been picking 70-12. So the Gamecocks are certainly growing on him because he has not picked the Tigers to win by, 58 this weekend. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on any of the predictions. Patrick Perret coming up in about 36 minutes here, and we will certainly talk a lot with him, including what transpired in the NFL last night. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, they had the lead, looked good, 10-3 at halftime. Thought Brady would be able to pull it out, would be able to end the losing streak that he was on, but it was not to be, as the Baltimore Ravens scored 24 second-half points. They rally, and they win last night. They beat Tampa Bay down in Tampa 27-22. Brady was pretty good last night, 26 of 44 for 325 yards and a touchdown, but he's not getting a lot of help right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see where Tom Brady goes, as you're really here at the halfway point of the season. 17-game season, but they've played 8. And this is my opinion, and this is not based on TMZ or based on any reporting of yesterday of what Giselle, his wife, may or may not be threatening him with, whether it's divorce or anything. It just, Tom looks done. And physically, I'm not even sure he looks done. But mentally, watching that game last night, you play if you're 45 years old, let's be honest, you play because you love the game. At that point, you're truly playing because you love the game. And I don't know if Tom Brady, it's been a while since he's experienced a losing season like what he's having to do. But this is a situation in which he looks, just body language, facial expression, he looks miserable. And it's a grind. Now you think about, we've all done things in our life we don't want to do, and you get to the halfway point, and you're like, man, if I can just survive another, 8-9 weeks. And that's exactly what he's having to do. And you even watch him in his post-game press conference. He's aging. He's truly aging, to me, again, right before our eyes. And it's kind of I think because you're watching some of his personal life play out publicly, it's kind of sad to watch. We've watched all our greats kind of take downturns at some point in their career. And what you're seeing with Tom Brady, who's still, again, physically, last night, 26 of 34, 325 yards and a touchdown. It's not exactly like Tom Brady was awful last night. He could be a serviceable quarterback for somebody even at 40. What is it? He'd be 46 next year. But as Larry on our live stream says, Tom's not having fun playing anymore. No, and no, look, let's be honest. It's also no fun to lose. Nobody is having fun when they're 3-5. But it's I gotta admit, it's kind of sad to watch him go out this way because I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but he's not getting help, and you can see his personal life playing out publicly with the divorce, and you've got Antonio Brown over there putting out tweets about his wife, about Giselle, and kind of making fun of Tom. And again, I just say it's kind of tough to watch a little bit. I watched that game last night. I was kind of rooting for Lamar Jackson. I want to see Lamar Jackson have a really good year, and he made some nice plays last night, made some kind of bad plays as well, but 27 of 38, 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Former Coastal Carolina standout. Big night for Isaiah Likely. 6 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown. He gave a little wave goodbye, night to the Buccaneers there at the end of the game, but very good game for the former Chanticleer Isaiah Likely. And again, Baltimore last night moves to 5-3 on the season as they rally 27-22 over Tampa Bay. Tampa actually would score the touchdown late with about under a minute to go there to cut it to 27-22. But the Buccaneers had stormed back, and man, it was a tough game there for Tom last night. And again, you don't have to like Tom Brady. You don't even have to be a Tom Brady. You don't have to be a Tom Brady fan. I think you have to respect what Tom Brady has been in his career, in the longevity, obviously, when you play for as long as he has, the success with the Super Bowls. And it's tough, man. It's tough to watch with him last night and just see kind of almost it's almost if he could get out today, if he could just, and I don't know how you would take his legacy if he were to just say, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody or being mean, but if he were to pull a Steve Spurrier and just say, it's time to let somebody else have a crack at it. I can't do it anymore. It's not for me. I don't know how you would respond to his legacy if he just walked away today, because I really feel like if you gave him an option, if you gave him an out this afternoon to get out of this season, to quit football, he would take it. He would walk away and be completely done. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on Tom Brady, or if you want to make a score prediction this morning. Jess weighs in and says, good Friday morning, guys. We'll be at the game tomorrow with a Mizzou fan. He's my best friend. Sad to hear that, Jess. Keep living the good life, though. He says, haven't been to a game in 10 years, sadly, at Willie B. Hoping we dominate him. He's picking South Carolina 49-21 over Missouri. Again, if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. That's how you can do so. You're listening to Bill Gunner and producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game
is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game, and the new 107.5 The Game app.
Going out purchasing a new vehicle, it should be a great experience. You've heard me talking about it the last couple of weeks. When you buy a new car, truck, or SUV, you're essentially buying a new family member. That's kind of what that family member comes home. Okay, sure, they don't eat the food, sleep in the bed, and cause you headaches necessarily, but they get the kids to soccer and football and cheer and dance, to school. They take you on vacations. There's memories made in that car. So when you go purchase a brand new vehicle, that's something that's actually pretty exciting. And the event itself should be treated that way. And Love Chevrolet, for 60 years, has understood that. They understand the excitement that comes with making that first purchase of a vehicle, or even the 5th or 10th. It's a great day. And the folks at Love Chevrolet make it special for you, whether it's keeping the cost low. They never sell above MSRP. Whether it's giving you a wide selection of vehicles, over 14 acres of brand new Chevrolets, or whether it's making sure you are experienced and knowledgeable about what you are purchasing with that great sales staff, Love Chevrolet is there to make sure you enjoy every second of the car buying experience. So go visit them. I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can visit them on the web. You can even Speak with a seasoned professional right over the internet and pick the car, truck, or SUV you've been looking for without leaving the comforts of your own home. However you want to make the purchase, Love Chevrolet is there to make it happen. Again, go visit them in person. See them. Visit that great sales staff. They're absolutely phenomenal people. I love going out and visiting with them myself. I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
Back with Travis Benson, owner of CNT Foundations. Travis, what should homeowners with a foundation problem do?
First, Gary, don't ignore it. Next, call us.
Why call CNT Foundations?
We're not an investor.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, both teams kind of choked away last night. I think they were up 10-3, not 10-3.
Medical treatment and workers' compensation and experience and passion you need when you need it most. Samuel Reynolds, True Interest, True Lawyers, 779-4000.
Dodgeland has the largest new 2023 Ram Charger Challenger inventory around. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT and get 1.9% financing. Bumps or even craters in your credit? Forget it. When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Ram Charger or Challenger of your dreams. Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. Dodgeland on Greystone, jtsdodge.com. We power this.
Outscoring Tampa Bay 24-12 as they improved to 5-3 on the season. Tom Brady lost 3 straight games for the first time since 2002 after throwing for 325 yards and a touchdown. The Buccaneers now fall to 3-5 this season. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Giants traded 2021 first-round pick Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs. NFL insider Tom Pelissero reports. And Patriots head coach Bill Belichick said Mac Jones took the full workload and is expected to be fully available for Sunday's game.
All right, let's see here. I think we're good with everything so far. I think I'm getting into the studio an extra 10 minutes early in Paris to have allowed me to be completely ready for the program. Stuff that I'm normally trying to do that I'm not doing. I'm not having to do. I've already done it.
Like the Craftsman 20-volt two-tool combo key was $149, now only $99. Then save time with more convenient ways to shop. Check back daily for deals during Black Friday month. Start saving now with Lowe's. Home to any possibility. Offer valid through 11/2 while supplies last.
So rumor has it that Staples has everything I need to ship.
That's not a rumor. We have all the shipping supplies and services you need.
Boxes? Yep. Mailers?
Yep.
And I can actually ship there, right?
We have UPS right here in the store.
What will Staples think of next?
Right?
No, seriously, I'm asking, what will they think of next?
Staples has all your shipping supplies and UPS service in store. And right now, get 25% off UPS Express shipping services. Staples, the best kept secret in shipping. Ends 12/31. Valid only in Staples U.S. stores.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
Eight 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. A lot of college football set for the weekend, another weekend of the NFL, high school football also, but also tonight we've got the start of the World Series. And I'm being serious when I ask this. It is, if you don't know, you've just completely, once the Braves lost, maybe you completely checked out. Some of you probably, Braves, Yankees seem to be the top two teams in terms of just fandom around here. I guess the Red Sox you can throw into that mix. So once all three of those are out, maybe you stop paying attention. If I asked you right now, who was in the World Series, could you name it? Could you? 803-404-6100. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now. They play tonight. Aaron Nola versus Justin Verlander's on the mound, so I am looking at it. But it's the Phillies and the Astros tonight, 8 o'clock. Game will be on Fox. I don't know what this means. Obviously, in Philadelphia, they're fired up. Obviously, in Houston, they're fired up. Mattress Mac has got another huge deal, huge bet on the line for Houston and for himself and for his store. But I got to admit, all right, so you're going to have 4 games bare minimum. So you're going to have we assume a bare minimum of 36 innings that will be played. How many will you watch? Like, are you into? I think it takes a true baseball purist, a true person who just loves the sport to get into it. Now, tonight, you've got, again, that's an 8 o'clock start there for the Phillies and the Astros, and maybe I'll flip over. You don't have a great night of college football. East Carolina at BYU, that's at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. And then you've got Louisiana Tech at Florida International. So it's not like you have great college football on tonight that would take you away from the World Series. And obviously, it's Friday. There's no NFL. Maybe you're going to a pumpkin patch or an apple orchard, or you've got something else planned for late afternoon or this evening, a haunted house, or you've got a Halloween marathon that you're going to get into. But it is an interesting situation when we talk about Major League Baseball. To me, I will probably watch an inning or two, maybe have it on completely in the background, but it's not a series of I mean, you do have some it's not lacking for big names. It's that's the one thing. You got Bryce Harper. The Astros have played again. Justin Verlander's throwing tonight. It's not a series lacking in big names and star power. It's just I don't know if the Phillies and the Astros, especially, I don't know if the stigma is still there for the Astros of cheaters. Like if you kind of keep an eye on baseball, you don't really get into it, but you know enough that you can be a little dangerous at the water cooler in the mornings. If you still consider the Astros a bunch of cheaters and you're pulling against them, of course, then that means you got to pull for Bryce Harper, which I don't know how many people really enjoy him as a player. He's really good, but it's an interesting series. And again, I kind of ask that if you're going to get into it this weekend, let's just say for a hypothetical sake, again, 36 innings, 4 games it goes, and then somebody's swept. How many innings will you actually watch? I got to admit, mine will probably be, I don't know, somewhere between the 5 and 8 inning period for the at least 36, and that's probably even if it goes past 36. But a couple of you weighing in, Darby saying 0 innings will be watched, and I'm with you, Darby. I'm just not into it. Then he also adds his football prediction for the weekend: South Carolina 31, Missouri 20. He goes with Spencer Rattler throwing 3 touchdown passes, 2 of which to Austin Stogner. AC weighing in and says, I can't stand either of the teams in the World Series. I'm not going to watch a single inning. Larry on our live stream says none. Will not watch any. Could care less for either team. Craig just weighs in with a no. So I feel like that's what you're getting with this World Series, that if you're not in Philadelphia, if you're not a Phillies fan, and then if you're not an Astros fan, you're not in Houston, this is going to, I would feel like this potentially could be one of the most, the lowest rated World Series that we've ever had. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's people in other parts of the country that are fully invested in Sports Talk Radio this morning is completely talking about the World Series, and for some odd reason, not South Carolina, Missouri. But it's hard to get in. Steve even weighs in on our live stream. Steve Williams, it says no, 0 innings. So 803-404-6100. Again, a couple of you weighing in on our text line. You can do that, 803-404-6100. He says, Richard says, I think I'll put the score this weekend at 27-24. Either way, Missouri or Carolina could get this one. Scott going South Carolina 27-24. in overtime. Bobby weighing in on the World Series, and he joins what is becoming a long list of people saying they are not going to watch this morning. Too many antagonists in this series, will not watch an inning. Roger weighing in and says, in regards to the World Series, that's my issue, Bill. I hate Houston, but I hate Bryce Harper and his hair all the more. 803-404-6100 again is how you can weigh in. We'll get back to some college football discussion. look at the weekend that'll be and continue discussing South Carolina and Missouri. Get you a little more audio from Shane Beamer last night. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The OGs of 107.5 The Game.
Jay Phillips, Heath Klein, and Tommy Moody.
Sharing their memories of 107.5 The Game and celebrating our 15th anniversary.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Just download the 107.5 The Game app or go to 1075thegame.com to check out the podcast.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game and the new 107.5 The Game app.
Sponsored by Indeed.com.
Only one incident to pass along at this time, an accident at 20 westbound at South Carolina 6, exit 55.
As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
Fall is here, and with it comes all the traditional family outings like tailgating, mountain and beach adventures, and road trips to grandma's over the holidays. Wherever you go, go with great gas mileage, safety, technology, comfort, and style in a new Honda from Honda of Columbia. Right now, you'll get more for your trade than ever, and as always, you'll enjoy their no-hassle pricing, no-pressure buying experience. Honda of Columbia, your friendly family Honda dealer since 1978. Highway 378 at I-20.
Hey, South Carolina, Scott here from Traditions with good news if you're in the market for an engagement ring or for diamond jewelry, because we have the largest selection you'll see anywhere in the Southeast. And whether you're in the market for a traditional mine diamond or for one of these amazing new lab-grown diamonds, we've got you covered. Because whether you're buying mined or lab, you'll be happy to know that at Traditions, we guarantee the trade-in value of both kinds of diamonds at our store. So if the day comes where you want an even bigger diamond, we'll be happy to give you full value you paid for your original when you trade it in. Even better, we have over 1,000 diamond rings in stock, so you'll get to try on pretty much every style imaginable. And if you still don't see exactly the right design, we'll be glad to custom make it for you. And yes, we have interest-free financing for qualified buyers. So come see us and get the ring of your dreams with a diamond of your choice, only at Traditions.
Raymond, your eBay mode. So you're teaching your kid to parallel park. He likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers. And headlights. 122 billion parts. To get the right parts at the right price. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
I'm going to call for number 11 when we come back. I'll actually call for. I'll get to this phone call, and then I'll call for number 11. All right. Yes, sir. Probably call for that, and also call for number 3. So the injury report. So the defense and the injury report. Mizo. All right, here we go.
Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game with Bill Gunter and Jim Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. The early game, 107.5 The Game.
Coming up in about 45 minutes, we're going to give you the opportunity to win a pair of tickets.
Tomorrow night's South Carolina, Missouri game, Williams-Brice Stadium, 4 o'clock. So stay tuned. 7:30 this morning, we'll do that. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Patrick Perret will hop on the live stream, hop on the phone line, and we will continue discussing South Carolina and Missouri, get into that game, the defense of Missouri against the South Carolina offense. And we'll let you listen to a little bit of Shane Beamer coming up in a few minutes as it pertains to what he said last night on Carolina Calls. But let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. We've been discussing Tom Brady a little bit. Bob wants to weigh in. Bob, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Good. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing good.
I'm actually headed out right now to the Wood. Going to play some golf this morning. Every year on homecoming, we do the golf tournament for the Carolina band. So this will be our 10th year of the tournament, and we raise money for scholarships for them. So it'll be a good, beautiful day at the Wood.
Awesome. Good. You have fun. Tell Rock I said hello. We'll be out there in a few weeks, Veterans Day.
Nice. Yeah, no, I was just calling on Tom. Heard you talking, and I'm no Tom Brady fan, but it is kind of sad to see what's going on with him. You know, what I would say about that, I think everyone around here, you know, Carolina fans, we really appreciate what Steve Spurrier did for us, but there's a little bit of a taste, right, when he leaves midseason. I think if he finishes that out, even if it's the same record, I think we're all disappointed in what happened, but we appreciate him finishing it out. So I would think the same thing for Tom, that, you know, you started this, you should finish it. And the only caveat I might say to that is, you know, if you got a chance to save your marriage by leaving today, I think you do it. But otherwise, I think you're sticking it out through the end of the season if you want to not taint that legacy a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call, Bob. I think that's and good luck with that golf tournament too. Hope you hit them well out there. The Charwood's in great shape, and Rock and Daniel do a fantastic job out there getting it ready, and I hope it's a great tournament again today. Yeah, I mean, that legacy of Tom Brady certainly is something there, and you hope that whatever happens this year does not get completely diminished by or does not diminish what we've always thought about Tom Brady. You know, you've seen some guys go out, and I don't know. We talk about him, you know, whether he goes back to Giselle or whatever happens with his personal life. Does he stick with this massive sports broadcasting contract that apparently he already has and what he does there? So we'll continue talking about that. We'll get Patrick Perret's thoughts on that coming up here in about 10 minutes when Patrick jumps on and joins us. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100. A couple of y'all weighing in. Doug and Elgin weighs in on the Phillies and the Astros. He says, I'm a huge baseball fan. It's absolutely my favorite sport. I'll be watching every inning of what I expect to be a classic that goes the distance people are going to be talking about for years. And then, Doug and Elgin taking a shot at our buddy Scott. He goes, Michigan, 63. Michigan State, 17. Go Blue. Oof. Be a tough weekend for Sparty if Michigan runs up a 63 spot on the green and white there. We'll pick that game here in a little while as well, Michigan and Michigan State. We'll talk about the weekend schedule. It'll be Scott weighing in this morning. That's Scott. Says, I won't watch Houston, which is kind of tough since Dusty Baker is their manager these days. But as long as Jose Altuve is an Astro, they will carry the cheater stigma. Ronnie weighing in this morning. He says, my son is a Phillies fan, so we will be watching 24, and then he predicts the Gamecock game, 24-20 Gamecock fans. And Scott weighs back in, says 17. Sounds like a lot of points for Michigan State. So we've got that as well. 803-404-6100, or again, you can join us on our live stream. Go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, subscribe, be a part of the program if you want to choose to do so that way. Last night, Shane Beamer on Carolina Calls talking about Missouri, and I've continued to believe that this game will be decided by the matchup of the Missouri defense against the South Carolina offense. Missouri's defense is pretty good. They come into this game. They are fourth in the league in total defense. They're allowing just 325 yards per game. Their rush defense, pretty good, fifth in the league. They give up just 127 yards per game. So that Missouri defense showing up, that's going to be a salty unit that South Carolina's going to have to deal with. Last night, Shane Beamer talked about the Missouri defense and what he's seen so far. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, they're you nailed it. They've got athleticism up front. A defensive end from Irmo, that is a heck of a player and will present a lot of problems. They have length and they have size up front that can affect you in a lot of different ways. It did last year in our game against them. They've done well in the transfer portal. Got a linebacker from Florida that's a heck of a player that's really made their defense go. Transfer in the secondary from Clemson that's starting at safety. A transfer in the secondary from Texas A&M that's playing some corner for them. So they've done well filling some needs in the portal. And I think that's the biggest thing is they're just it's a little bit of a different style of defense than what they played last year. And, the defense coordinator was at Miami previously and did a good job down there, and he's doing a good job with them. They're playing with a lot of confidence on defense and playing with quite an edge defensively as well.
It's that Missouri defense that's when we make our picks. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I know that our buddy Brian Edwards with VegasInsider.com likes the over in this game, 46.5, 47, depending on where you look. I know that was one of his picks yesterday. But it's not a game in which I'm seeing a bunch of points being scored. You go back last week, and the game went over 54 points, went over the total. But it goes over the total because South Carolina runs a kickback, runs an interception back to the 5-yard line, kicks a field goal, and has a fumble that they get inside of the, inside of the 10, I guess, is where they had the ball. So basically, Texas A&M gifted, and this isn't about the win. I'm talking about the point total strictly, gifted the point total 17 points there, and that's how the game ends up going over. It's hard to envision. I hope it happens, but it's hard to envision South Carolina getting those kind of breaks to line up for 17 points. They're going to have to run the football effectively. I think if you run it, it sets up the pass game. I've talked about that this week. It sets up being able to run some play action, even to throw those quick screens. But Missouri's offense, much like Texas A&M's offense, is not exactly a potent unit. And again, 7 points last week in that ball game, or I should say 3 in that ball game, came because of South Carolina playing a prevent defense and allowing Texas A&M to go down the field and kick. Also, there was the Spencer Rattler fumble that set up an easy touchdown. South Carolina, both teams kind of gave each other points, gave the offense points with easy field position, and that's why the ball game ended up going over the point total. So I'm not a fan of the over in this game. It's hard to envision that this would be the second straight week where offenses basically have turnovers that set up the opposition's offense to score. So I like the under. So I think it's going to be low scoring. I think you're looking at something, quite honestly, around 17-13, 20-16, 24 would be. I think whoever gets to 24 actually wins this football game. If somebody gets to 24, I think that'll be the number that you want to hit. Maybe I come in here on Monday and it's been a 35-31 shootout or something crazy like that, but that's just not how I envision this game going. I think both defenses will rise to the occasion. I like as crazy as it sounds, I like South Carolina's offense a little bit more than I do Missouri's. Brady Cook's yet to really put it together with a solid group of wide receivers. Luther Burden, the 5-star wide receiver, has done some really nice things. Mookie Cooper, a one-time 5-star receiver out of St. Louis, who went to Ohio State and has since transferred back to Missouri, is a speedster that South Carolina's going to have to keep an eye on. Dominic Lovett is another guy who's been very good for them and has stepped up big over the last several games. So Missouri does have some receivers, but South Carolina's secondary has really been playing well of late. And Cam Smith may or may not get a few pass interference calls in this game. There was some ticky-tack calls, obviously, in the last game that kept some drives going. But I think you're pretty confident in the matchup of Clayton White against Eli Drinkowitz. And we even played that audio yesterday, and I'll play it again in the next hour, of Clayton White talking about working with Eli Drinkowitz when both were at North Carolina State. So I like that matchup. I like the Missouri. I like the South Carolina defense going against the Missouri offense a little more. And I think South Carolina has found at times something that works, obviously, especially in the second half. We've talked a lot about this week the statistic of what South Carolina has been able to do in the second half against the opposition, and that's got to continue. Again, South Carolina's outscored their opponent 145-87 in the second half. Some of that is a credit to the conditioning of Luke Day. You've got to kind of stick in there and say that. So we'll continue to discuss this game. Patrick Perret joining us in just a few minutes. We'll give you a pair of tickets to the game coming up at 7:30. A lot to do. Hour 2 on the way of the early game. 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you want to smile, smile.
Hey, Gamecock fans, this is Danny Hood with Coldwell Banker Realty. Since 1985, my wife Karen and I have been striving to give better than expected real estate service to our clients in the Midlands of South Carolina. In 2014, our son William DiMaggio joined us, and since then, the Hood team has consistently been recognized as the #1 Coldwell Banker Realty small team in the Carolinas. So if you want honesty, integrity, and results backed by experience in buying and selling real estate, call the Hood team at 803-730-2512 or online at thehoodteam.com.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, Emmitt Smith wants to introduce you to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in biologic treatment for pain. I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself. No medications, no surgeries, no downtime.
If you have pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about how you can get lasting relief with biologic treatments that can repair and restore damaged tissue.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain. Play golf without pain, walk upstairs without pain, play with your kids and grandkids without pain, get back on your job without pain, live your life pain-free. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
Train heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. Sponsored by Train Info.
That's true. Yes, Virginia Tech was up big.
Kia will sell it to you for less. New 2023 Kia Forte LXS, just $19,799. Sign and drive. Not a lease. You own it for $289 per month with 0 down and 0 payments until
They were up. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of that. My son stayed with me last night. We had a buddy come over. We were watching football. We got a bunch of wings, and we're living the life. Why are you in the dark? Now I gotta remember. I've had to turn on my volume all week, so Jen's out. Jen's mom saw on Twitter was I don't know if you saw it. She's up. So
I'm at a hotel.
Oh boy.
I'm back in the DMV.
Everything okay?
Yeah, we're at a wedding.
I'll tell Ed you're calling. He tends to not see the phone lines. All right, Patrick should be calling in. And there he is.
Hey, good. How are you doing, Ed? Yeah, I'm ready to go. Right, thanks.
This means I don't know. In fact, I don't even have any idea.
We're rolling along on a Friday morning, a football Friday morning, where we get you fired up. South Carolina and Missouri. Big game here at Williams-Brice Stadium as the Gamecocks look to build upon what started, and joining us as he does now each and every Friday to give all kinds of thoughts, whether it's on Tom Brady's future, which may end today. Did you watch any of that game last night, Patrick? Did you watch any Ravens and Bucks?
A very little bit, but it's ugly. It's ugly times right now. I think Tom's too stubborn to retire midseason.
But that would affect his legacy, right? Like if I mean, that's the one thing. He's in a situation. I think we've all been there at some point in something with our life where you're halfway through and you realize you've gotten yourself into a miserable situation. Things are not good. What's sad is that his private life is playing out publicly right now with Giselle. I think if it was just one thing with Tom Brady and okay, they're 3-5 and things aren't going well for him. It's the fewest number of touchdown passes he's thrown in his career through 8 games. You'd kind of say, well, the team around him's not as good. That Bruce Arians left, Todd Bowles, not particularly a great coach. There's a lot of things here, but watching his private life play out in public with Giselle, that's the tough part for me. I've gone through a divorce. I'm divorced. I know what that's like emotionally, especially when kids are involved. Whether you like Tom or not, whether you care for him as a player, he's a human being with emotions. And I watched him last night in that post game press conference. He doesn't even look good. Like he looks like he's losing weight. It looks like stress is getting to him. And to me, that's sad. That's tough to watch with his legacy.
Yeah, the physical look of him is kind of bizarre now. It looks like he was going through plastic surgery or something early in the season. But yeah, no one, if he plays out this year, if he retires next year, and he said, I'm going to play a couple more years. That was what he said in the press conference. But if he retires at the end of the year, I mean, he's leading the NFL in passing right now. So he's got 2,200 yards. He's played an extra game, but still, he's putting up big numbers. Nobody's going to remember that this last season the Bucks stunk. Like they're going to remember that he won a Super Bowl with the Bucks, put up a bunch of stats on a pretty bad team in his last year, and it's not going to affect his legacy one bit. But it will be like very noteworthy and unique and weird if he retires mid-season. But it is unfortunate that it's all playing out publicly, and obviously the story going around yesterday that Giselle gave him an ultimatum, and now everybody's talking about that. And I don't know, did they bring it up during the game? They didn't, did they?
We had 2 TVs going. I was watching Virginia Tech and NC State, and a buddy of mine had come up. We'd ordered a bunch of wings. Austin, my son, was sitting there. We were watching the games. We weren't really listening to the games, so that makes sense. So
that's a weird thing for Amazon Prime too, and like Al and Kirk.
Yeah,
it's the biggest story, and they know everyone's talking about it. But as professionals, do you like ignore it, or do you just bring up the elephant in the room? I have no idea how that's handled.
It's different. Like I said, I've been through it. I know what divorce, and I'm sure there's other people out there. You know what divorce can do to you mentally and emotionally and physically. I mean, physically and look, I have no reason to believe that Tom has not tried to be a good father and a good husband and all those things. And you don't really ever hear the stories of him running around or being out in Vegas and some kind of wild party. It just looks like he looks physically ill. And it comes from what happens when you go through a divorce, and I just hate it for him. I hate it personally. I don't really care what happened. If everything was equal, and we didn't know anything private life, I'd be like, yeah, I don't mind seeing Tom Brady struggle. Good Lord. Everybody should struggle every once in a while. When you win 6 Super Bowls, having a year where you're 3-5 is not a bad, take some of that. Here's a little dose of reality, but I hate to see it for him on the personal side of things. I know what that's like, and it's difficult. But we'll talk more about that real quick. Join in. I'm guessing 0 is going to be the number. I kind of just threw this out there in the last hour. How many innings? Hypothetically, there's going to at least be 36 innings in the World Series, 4 games, 9 innings a game. How many innings does Patrick Perret watch of the Astros and the Phillies?
Probably, I'm going to say like 2.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if the Astros win, then I will watch Philly go out in the World Series. If there's a clinching game, I'm going to watch the last couple innings.
I was going to say, is it Philly hate? Is it Philly hate or is it Bryce Harper hate?
No, it's Philly hate.
Okay.
It's Philly hate.
Okay.
I'm kind of over Bryce at this point. Like we don't think about him anymore. We won our World Series and he's gone and he wasn't part of it. I mean, I don't want him to win a World Series. I think that'll be great, a storyline forever. If Bryce leaves, the Nats win a World Series and he can never get one himself, I would love that. But I also don't. This is one of the most unlikable matchups, and as was the ALCS, because nobody wants the Yankees to go to the World Series other than Yankees fans, and nobody wants the Astros to be successful because they cheated, and nobody likes Philly other than Philly. So I don't think America is really picking a side here, are they?
I just threw it out there just because it gets going tonight at 8 o'clock. I to be honest with you, Patrick, at least here in this part of the country, now that the Braves were eliminated, I don't know how many people genuinely could have told you who was playing in the World Series. And you're right, the Astros, because of their cheating scandal, certainly here in Braves country, the Phillies are not a liked team. I'm with you. I feel like you're having to hold your nose if you're here in South Carolina, if you're in the middle. And that's why I really didn't think many people. I'm not going to spend. I probably spent more time talking about the World Series this morning than I ever intended to, and this will probably max out our World Series. Aside from me just giving a score after every game in the morning, just letting people know what happened. I highly doubt I will spend any time analyzing or talking about the World Series. It does get going tonight, and given that tonight there's no NFL, obviously Friday, and that your college football games are left for it's East Carolina and BYU and some other I think Florida International. I mentioned it earlier. There's not good college football on tonight. It actually may be the best thing to watch unless you're going to go NHL regular season or NBA regular season.
Are not bad options.
Or you may choose to go with a Michael Myers marathon and just wrap it up with Halloween Ends.
That's true. The stores are swapping out Halloween stuff already.
I've tried to stay out of the stores.
I was in Target. I was in Target yesterday, and they were in the mid-state, almost fully cleared out the Halloween section, and we're moving Christmas in.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean,
We're there.
So yeah, we're there. We're at Halloween parties this weekend, Halloween on Monday, and then it's Thanksgiving and Christmas. Last weekend was like a Christmas light show at Williams-Brice Stadium. Obviously, you were there. How did you take it in on television from what you saw? What was your reaction watching that environment at Williams-Brice Stadium last Saturday night?
Just so bummed that I wasn't there. I mean, it was amazing. It was so cool that also you could tell through the TV, and everyone in America was giving South Carolina's fans their flowers over the full week of analysis. That was, I think, the first comment. The first comments for that game from a national level were like, well, Texas A&M screwed, and oh my gosh, South Carolina's environment continues to be the most underrated environment in college football. And I mean, it was great. It was so loud. It clearly had an effect. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that it had an effect when you're seeing. I mean, South Carolina basically owes their fans, or the South Carolina's fans owe. South Carolina's football team is owed that snap off of Haynes King's body to the fans, because that snap count was a problem for them all day long. That center had no idea what he was doing. He was trying. He couldn't hear anything. Jordan Rogers just kept remarking about how, why are you still doing a verbal snap count? What are you doing? Why are you trying to call a snap count with anything but a silent count right now? Because the fans are too loud. It's in your head, and you guys can't get anything done right now. So it was amazing. The fans were great. It was the best environment all year. They should have had, there's been stats coming out about sellouts, and South Carolina should have a sellout for every game right now. If it wasn't for that Hurricane game, then they would. Williams-Brice has just been electric all year long.
Yeah, credit goes to the administration. You and I've talked about this a lot, really over the last couple of years, last year in particular, the job that is required of the administration, the athletic department, everybody that goes in to get people to come to football games. You're fighting. South Carolina is fighting the television, the people that are paying you, the people that where all that money is coming from, all that great football money all that great money that's coming to your university. It's being paid to you because they want your fans to stay home and watch the game on television. You're actually fighting them, trying to get people to come to your games, and that certainly they've done a great job of creating a fun environment. I think tomorrow it'll be another really good environment. We'll start talking about that. We'll continue kind of just a few thoughts from you on what you saw last week, offensively, especially first half, second half, and then we'll start talking Missouri. It's a good Missouri defense, Patrick. I've talked a little bit about that this morning, and we'll get your take on that as we roll along. He's Patrick Perret. I'm Bill Gunner. It's producer Ed Bird here behind the glass. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
He's 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. He is 6 touchdowns and 2 picks at home, 0 touchdowns and 5 picks on the road this season.
So ding yourself on that. That's a ding right
Isn't
there.
that keeping with Missouri, isn't that like a Drew Lock? Remember Drew Lock's stats at home? He was like 95% completions, 8 million yards,
Yeah,
100
because
touchdowns.
Drew Lock would play 3 games at home every year against Southeastern Missouri State, Northeastern Missouri State, and Southwestern Missouri State.
I brought that up. I brought up Drew Lock just to see you all flustered like that.
Yeah.
You have an almost irrational hatred for it.
Yeah, I just had it is complete. Well, it is completely irrational. I just almost gave myself an aneurysm. But yeah, people were like, "Wow, this guy's amazing." I'm like, 700 of his yards came against Southeastern Missouri State. That's an actual stat line from an actual game. It's ridiculous.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5. The Game.
I've mentioned it's Halloween. You just heard us talking about it, and I bet that means several of you are hosting Halloween parties this coming weekend. Now, the key is to have a nice, spooky house, but you don't want the carpets, the rugs, the upholstery, the tile to be spooky. You don't want people terrified of your dirt and grime. You want to have that looking clean. You want your decorations to stand out, your sound around the house, if you've got the spooky sounds going, to stand out. Again, you don't want the carpet to look dirty, dingy. You don't want the upholstery to be dusty. That's not scary. That's horrifying. You don't want that. Call Zero Res. Book your appointment today. Take advantage of their fall sale where you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. All you need to do is mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. You can also schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com. Give them a phone call, 803-262-4020 is how you can get in touch with them. Again, Zero Res, with over 1,900 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating, is the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. And again, you can take advantage of their fall sale going on right now. Just mention my name, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. Give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or you can schedule with ease online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
This is Boomer Science with CBS Sports Minute. This week on Game Time and the all-new Game Time podcast, by the way, I chat with Trent Dilfer, who is now head football coach at Nashville's Limsom Academy. So why are some 170 former NFL players coaching high school football?
So what are you back home for?
We're here for a wedding.
Another fall wedding.
At least it's a Friday fall wedding.
A Friday wedding?
Yeah,
I've never understood the Friday wedding.
I'm on board with it. I've never experienced one before.
All right. Oh, we got another London game? Oh, yeah. The annual Send Jacksonville to London game. Makes sense.
Furnace freeze ups. There's an expert for that.
You're cheaper. Is a Friday wedding cheaper?
Exactly, it is thoughtful.
Yeah. Okay, I'm all right. I like Chuck's idea. Whole family for a 3-day wedding.
Yeah, there was a welcome party last night with an open bar. Everybody got pretty roughed up.
I can imagine.
People are going to be struggling at the wedding today.
90% cheaper. It's the simplification you get. Expensive appointments, awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed $100.
I would give 2 pairs of tickets.
Sportshims.com/radio. That's sportshims.com/radio. I visit HIS.com/RADIO.
I'm glad I read Josh's text message before I just started yelling at him. All right. We got a ticket giveaway at 7:30. All right, I got to figure out which games we're picking. I got South Carolina. I put South Missouri.
Gosh, Florida Georgia's 22.5 right now.
Yeah, do you want to pick that? I also had Michigan State.
That's probably a big one too.
Craig, what'd you get into? What did Craig get into last night? The Elijah Craig? Actually, that's what I got into. Was Elijah Craig. I don't know why. BYU at home is only -3 against East Carolina tonight.
On December 27, 2014, Steve Spurrier's Gamecocks took on the Miami Hurricanes in the Independence Bowl. Miami led 7-0 with 8:04 left in the first half. Dylan Thompson about to take the snap from his own 22-yard line, 2nd and 10. Here are Todd Ellis and Tommy Suggs.
Ohio State, Penn State. We probably should pick that.
Nothing's really jumping off the screen right now.
Final score, Carolina 24, Miami 21.
I'll write down Florida, Georgia.
Broadcasting live. American Chevrolet is doing it. It is 175. Stop by, shop online today and see why Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game with Bill Cutter and Jen on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 that game.
I think I'm going to take one phone call real quick.
$7:20 on your Friday morning, a football Friday, a prediction Friday. Several of you weighing in. I've got the poll question out there where you can weigh in if you want to do so. What will happen between Missouri and South Carolina tomorrow afternoon at Williams-Brice Stadium? Patrick, there is a lot of confident folk around here in the Midlands. Right now, I had 3 options. The spread is 3.5. That's where we're going to pick it. So I have South Carolina wins and covers the 3.5. Missouri pulls the upset, or the Gamecocks win but don't cover the spread, right? Those are the 3 options. Over 100 votes in, 74% of the vote say South Carolina wins and covers the 3.5.
They always play Missouri close.
Okay, there's that. Look at that analysis. Let's
No,
get up.
it's just this does make me nervous because there's every reason in the world that South Carolina should cover. Missouri almost lost to Vanderbilt last week, but college football doesn't make sense, and this is a massive letdown spot, and it makes me very nervous.
We'll talk about that. Let's go to the phone line. Love Chevy phone lines real quick. Sean wants to weigh in for just a second. Sean, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing good. What's your prediction for the weekend?
My prediction would probably be like 35 to about like 15.
35-15. So we'll put Sean in the category of South Carolina wins and covers the spread. He's in with the other 75% of Gamecocks. You on the way to school, young man?
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Well, you have a great day at school, and we've got you written down. 35-15 is the prediction from Little Sean. Appreciate it, and hope you have a great day at school, buddy. Patrick, you mentioned it. You look at this game, and it is I don't know if it's a letdown spot because I don't know if South Carolina's in a position for the letdown per se. Like when you're finally ranked, there's so much on the line. I don't know if you're in position for the letdown, but it's to me, and I've mentioned this all week, I am interested to see how Shane Beamer has them ready. If they're mentally into this game, or if they've been reading their press clippings, if they've been checking out the AP Top 25 all week. That to me, it tells me more about Shane Beamer as a coach, about the staff. If you can come out in a game, which I think talent-wise, you would say that they're better. Would you? I don't. Are you going with that?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Missouri's not good. I mean, South Carolina fans though they are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. I mean, they're already looking and saying, all right, well, we've already got these two. That's guaranteed 7 wins. Maybe we can beat Tennessee or Clemson. Like, South Carolina fans are already looking ahead saying this might be the year we beat Clemson. Everybody seems to be just glossing over these next 2 weeks, saying there's your 2 easy SEC East W's. And it should be that way. South Carolina should go out tomorrow and dominate Missouri. They're not good. I mean, they are fully capable of playing great football at times, and they're fully capable of being terrible. Brady Cook is the definition of average. I mean, he is so average. But this is also a team that almost beat Georgia. Like, took Georgia to the wire, and then just here we are a month later, and they almost lose Vanderbilt. Probably should have lost Vanderbilt. They were terrible. It's just in like football analysis and everything like that. Like, South Carolina is better, but you just never know what's going to happen anymore. And South Carolina got outplayed for like 3.5 quarters against Texas A&M. I mean, I was not comfortable in that game until Marshawn Lloyd scored the touchdown late. They're spotted 17 points basically, and Texas A&M just like dominated the middle portion of the game. They were driving, South Carolina could get nothing going, and they just held on. Like, they're props to the defense, props to Clayton White for being able to just hold on for 3.5 quarters, because it was an ugly game offensively. They got it going late, and Spencer made some big throws at times. That throw to Juice was phenomenal. That should have been a touchdown to Jalen Brooks, and it should have probably been a more comfortable victory. But I was at no point sitting at home confident until like the last minute. And even then, when they had a chance for the Hail Marys, I was like, oh boy, here we go. So I don't think, while South Carolina, the players should be happy because they just broke their second streak this year. The losing streak, Kentucky, and the losing streak to A&M. I don't think there's any reason that they should be sitting here like, oh yeah, we just went and dominated a team that everyone thought was going to be in the top 10. We can just roll our helmets out and beat Missouri. Because no, that is not the case. They should not feel like they just went out there and whooped up on A&M for 4 quarters, and now we get to go dominate Missouri too. It's just that's not how it played out.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Obviously, like you said, you watched on television the celebration that ensued following the game, and certainly, again, a lot of love, not complete, because there have been some people who are still upset with the offense, as you kind of just alluded to. There was a few comments, but there were some people who were upset with the offense on Monday morning. I'm with you. To me, that's the interesting part of this game, though. Does South Carolina feel like, do they come out with the mindset we have more to prove? Like the confidence that, you always run into a team. Philadelphia, the Phillies might be that team right now as we're kind of talking about it. Just in terms of running into a team that's hot at the right time. And I don't know if I'd label South Carolina as hot, but what I would say is that they seem on the surface to have a lot of confidence, and to feel like that positive mindset, positive vibe that Shane Beamer has preached and has tried to portray and tried to instill in the program. That's what seems to be winning them football games, not like great play calling offensively. I will say the defense, and this goes back to what you just said about Brady Cook. I've said I like the matchup of Clayton White against Eli Drinkwitz. I think that South Carolina's defense is getting better each and every week, and I think they're going to have another really good performance tomorrow. The question is, can South Carolina get consistent on offense and stick with what they do best, which is run the football?
Yeah, there was the weird comment of Shane saying, "Look, I told Satterfield just get the ball to the best players." Like he needed to tell him that, but that's truly what needs to happen. Like, actually, just feed Marshawn Lloyd. He's so good. He's one of the best running backs in the country right now. Everybody knows it at this point. It's his last year at Carolina. I mean, he's going to be an NFL running back. He is a stud. Jaheim Bell does something every time he touches the ball. Juice Wells is the best receiver on the team. He makes catches, contested catches that no one else is making. Just feed those guys. Like a heavy dose of the run game. And I get there are situations where if there's a false start or a hold on first down and all of a sudden you're behind the sticks and you just lose the option of running the football. But stay ahead of the sticks and run Marshawn Lloyd as much as possible and get Jaheim Bell the ball and get Juice Wells the ball and just be consistent. Like we're making it look so hard and making Spencer Rattler make spectacular throws just to move the sticks on like third and medium. And it's not how it should be. But the defense they should eat on Saturday tomorrow. I mean, I'm really happy with how the defensive line's playing. Zach has been as great as we always expect. Jordan Birch is playing really well right now. Tonka Hemingway's out there making plays. Like the defensive line is playing really well right now. And they dominated that game.
Yeah, they did, or they improved. There was obviously some plays here and there that they would probably want back. The stat that stood out was Devin Achane having over 100 yards rushing at halftime and finishing the game, Patrick, with 99 rushing yards. And it goes to show you, and a couple stats that I've mentioned, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want to weigh in on, but these are two stats that I have read throughout the week. Number one is the production of South Carolina and the adjustments that have been made, right? The adjustments. And here's the stat. This was in the game notes. South Carolina has scored just 87 points, Patrick, in the first half of their 7 games. Just 87 points. In the second half, they have scored 145. They have outscored the opposition 145 to 87. But again, it should be mentioned, South Carolina has also done a really good job defensively in the second half. Whatever's happening in the week leading up to the game is being trumped by what they're doing at halftime when they make adjustments. And you got to like that, both offensively and defensively. And sticking on the defensive part, you're right. They've been very good in the second half of shutting teams down, with the exception of, the touchdown there at the very end by Kentucky when the game was kind of, I think, it was kind of out. The game was pretty much over, right? I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. It's such a puzzling thing. I mean, and all the talk last week too was they've got this extra time to prepare, and that's when South Carolina has been at their best under Shane Beamer and with Marcus Satterfield, when they've got the extra week to prepare. So the team didn't come out slow, obviously, but for the offense to come out slow in a game like that, it is puzzling. I don't know what's happening at halftime, unless literally every week at halftime Shane Beamer's like, "Sat, throw out the script. Just get the ball to Lloyd," and that's what we're gonna do in the second half. And that's what's happening every week in the locker room. I don't know. It doesn't. We've seen it week to week, and it's been too much. It's been too consistent to be just a trend at this point. Like that's just like who South Carolina is now. But I mean, when you're spotted a touchdown to open up the game, and then what should have been a pick six, like you're in pretty good shape. So they didn't need to come out firing on offense, but it doesn't make any sense. The slow starts are just they're very head scratching.
Well, it seems, and this is us just sitting here as two guys analyzing it, but it seems that Marcus Satterfield almost over schemes himself in the first half. And that as they get to the second half, it's like, okay, now I know what works and what doesn't work. Well, you should know at this point what is working, and what is working is what you just mentioned. Marshawn Lloyd is working. Again, look at the production in the last 4 games alone. And I know 2 of them were Charlotte and South Carolina State, but 169 yards against Charlotte, 80 on limited carries against South Carolina State, 110. You made him a workhorse against Kentucky, and it worked. Last week, you started getting him the ball in the second half, and he runs for 92. There's no need to come out and get cute and creative. To go back to your point, and I know we've all talked about this a lot this week, and that's why I continue to say South Carolina's offense versus Missouri's defense, Patrick, and Missouri's defense is good. All right, that is a reason that they've been able to stay in games. Missouri's defense will come in again 4th in the league in total defense, 325 yards per game. So I don't expect South Carolina to have some kind of offensive explosion. And Missouri's defense also is 5th in the league in giving up just 126 yards rushing per game. So I don't expect some kind of offensive explosion, but I think you go out and you run the football early on with Marshawn Lloyd, and that's what made that, whatever you want to call it, first offensive possession or what after the interception where South Carolina had to go 5 yards and you throw 3 passes so infuriating. You've got a good running back behind you. Give him the ball, and he should be able to get 5 yards on 4 plays.
Yeah, there was really no excuse to not hand him the ball when you're starting on the 5-yard line. And if we want to give the benefit of the doubt, I mean, maybe there's an element of just the defense is worn down late in the game, and that's when Marshawn Lloyd's at its best. We've seen a lot of great running backs do that in the past. I mean, it was like in Alabama, you couldn't tackle Derrick Henry for 4 quarters. By the end of the game, you were done, and he was running through arm tackles and running people over and just feasting in the 4th quarter. He still does in the NFL. Maybe there's an element to that where when you get late in the game, Marshawn Lloyd's still running at 100% while the defense is tired and they just can't bring him down at that point. So, I mean, he's been so good. I mean, he is the bright spot on offense this year. He's been incredible. Yeah, I think for sure he's a pro this year. He looks like an NFL running back. The draft class for running backs is loaded this year, led by Bijan Robinson. But I mean, Lloyd is a pro. He's so good. And if I was him, having torn ACL and struggled to come back my sophomore year, now I'm getting the recognition I deserve. I would be out. So yeah, enjoy it while he can, because he looks like an NFL running back to me. And just feed the man. He's too good not to touch the ball 20 plus times a game.
We will continue discussing this. We'll look at the college football slate when we come back. It's an interesting weekend, not the best weekend that we've had, but an interesting weekend. We'll continue on with Patrick Perret. But right now, it's a chance for you to win a pair of tickets to the game tomorrow afternoon. 803-404-6100 is the Carolina Honda Powerhouse ticket giveaway, sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. It is right now. Give us a phone call. Win a pair of tickets. We'll take caller number 7, a touchdown. Caller number 7, Mr. Edbert, is the Carolina Honda ticket powerhouse giveaway right now.
Call now to win Gamecocks tickets right here. 803-404-6100. Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your source for Honda Power Sports, ATVs, motorcycles, side-by-sides, and generators. From your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Keep up with our 15th anniversary podcast
By downloading our 107.5 The Game app.
or at
Yeah, Chuck, I've talked to some people, and that's becoming more and more of a reality. They were losing Lloyd because of what Patrick just mentioned.
These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today. Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area
good.
and energy efficient for over 35 years. Now, by distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
Hey, Gamecock Nation, number 32, Low Power Care. Are you tired of your Oxford brand lawnmower constantly letting you down? Ready to rid yourself of costly repairs or yearly replacement? That's the team at KO Power Equipment. Maximize your mowing potential. Top half zero turn on Gravy. Since 1916, American built Gravy lawnmowers have set the standard for quality price. New mower is waiting. Come join the family at KO Power Equipment.
If you have tax problems, it can affect all aspects of your life. And now's the time to do something about it. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. Every one of our firms truly believes we can improve the lives of our clients by eliminating the stress and worry of IRS tax problems. We're a local South Carolina law firm dedicated to resolving your tax problems for good. Simply put, we solve tax problems. So if you're facing IRS tax liens, bank or wage levies, or have years of unfiled tax returns, come meet with us in person. The first visit is free and confidential. We'll show you how we will solve your problem and how much it'll cost. So don't put it off any longer. Call us now at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to our website at irsproblemsolving.com. It's time to do something about that tax problem. Your solution is right here in South Carolina. Hire a South Carolina attorney. Hire me, John Eck.
I'm here with Jacob Crawford, known to our listeners as the mortgage guru. We're all hearing about mortgage rates right now. Jacob, what's the market telling you? Now more than ever, it's important to know your mortgage. When working in a volatile market, it's important to be well informed and have the ability to move quickly. Working with a local bank gives you access to bank products and superior service. Here at First Palmetto, we have your best interest at heart and have the ability to get the job done. Call me today, 803-719-1005, or email me at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com. It's good stuff, Jacob. Tell me more. We are still seeing a competitive purchase. Having strong pre-qualification from a local bank goes a long way with the type part. Housing supply still being minimal, we're doing a lot of construction. If you're looking to buy land and build on it, or if you're looking to build on land you already have, we're a great resource for construction. Call us today to discuss how we can help you. 803-719-1005 or email at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com. In times like these, you need an expert. Call the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005. First Palmetto Bank is an equal housing lender. Member of FDIC, and all loans are subject to it. My NMLS number is 19842.
Hey guys, it's me, Frustrated Legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission. I'm saying, guys, what
Patrick, you've heard this, right?
Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com. Use promo code RADIO to save.
You getting complaints about that one?
Whatever he has can to make money now.
Are you getting complaints about that one?
Oh yeah. Oh
People do not like those commercials.
Kids on their way to school.
Yeah. Dad, what's Ric Flair talking about?
404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning if you want to do so, if you want to make a prediction. Several of you have been doing that on the live stream, and we will certainly get to more of those. A couple of you also weighing in on our text line. West Columbia Tom saying, great to hear Patrick back on the early game this morning. Thanks, West Columbia Tom. He says, listening to Bill trying to shoulder load solo each day is rough, and that's tough to hear at 7:40. Reading that text message was kind of rough. So the better text messages from Tom as well. We'll get to some of those later. Jason weighs in, and this is a good question. He and his son Drew on the way to school. He says he predicts 28-20. Jalen Brooks scores a touchdown. He says Juice Wells the best wide receiver, ? That title goes to Jalen Brooks. I think Juice Wells is, but Patrick, I look, if there's 3 playmakers on this team right now, I think it's Lloyd, Brooks, and Wells. Those are the guys. I actually don't put Jaheim Bell. I mentioned this. Jaheim Bell, and I think I threw my little sheet away that had Jaheim Bell's statistics on it. I think for his career, I'm going to be within 10 yards on this. For his career, Jaheim Bell has 683 yards receiving. 3 plays make up almost a third of that. A 69-yard touchdown catch against North Carolina, a 66-yard touchdown catch against North Carolina, and an 82-yard touchdown catch against Vanderbilt. He does have one thing Jaheim Bell's got to do. He's great running the go route. He's got to get better at just the pure route running and getting himself open against coverage.
Yeah, but I mean, the tight end route tree is not the same as the wide receiver route tree. So if he's being forced to run the wide receiver route tree or something and not do a good job of it, then that needs to be changed. I mean, I think it's similar to what's going on in Atlanta right now with Falcons fans ripping their hair out every week because you've got Kyle Pitts drafted in the top 10 last year, and he gets like 2 targets a game. I think I'm not rag on Jalen Brooks. He's had a good year, but I think everything that he's done is like taking layups. I mean, he's got a couple really long plays on those end arounds that, I mean, anybody can do that. And I think Juice Wells just is much better because Juice Wells makes plays that no one else can make. He makes the contested catches no one else can make. He gets open better than everyone else. I think he's just by far the most well-rounded receiver. After him, I think it's actually a pretty steep drop-off. So, yeah, Jalen Brooks needs his targets, and Josh Vann needs targets too. Josh Vann, I mean, made a huge catch. It should have been I don't think they threw a pass interference call on that back shoulder turnaround, whatever it was that Josh Vann caught, but that was a huge third down. So he's made plays when it's mattered too. They just need to do a better job. I mean, just moving the sticks and getting more plays. It's an excuse every week that, hey, if we're not running a lot of plays, then we can't get the ball to our best player as much. So move the sticks and stay ahead of the sticks.
And you can make all this happen. But yeah, like Lloyd's got to be involved more than everyone else. Juice needs targets, and even if it's not just throwing, do the end arounds that Jalen Brooks is getting, give him to Jaheim Bell or something like that. Like he's good with the ball in his hands. He's better with the ball in his hands than most everyone on the offense. So just get him the ball and figure it out. I mean, that's what you got to do. Their tight ends can't get open like everybody else, so you got to scheme them open, and so something there is just not really working.
Yeah, but again, some of it for Bell is route running. He's got to improve upon his route running to get himself open in the routes. So there's look, they've done some good things. You mentioned it, the little crossing routes where he comes from the left to right, and you've got the wide receivers running out in front of him to block after the catch. There are plays. We'll see more of it tomorrow. We'll see if Marcus Satterfield can kind of put some things together to get the offense going. I hate to say it like this, because I don't want to be negative, Patrick, but they're 20 games in. They're 20 games in under Marcus Satterfield, and it's hard for me to believe that all of a sudden tomorrow it's going to click. I'm with you. The games, like you go back and you say, well, okay, North Carolina, they had extra time to prepare. I don't think he called a bad game in the Kentucky game. I think there were some mistakes in that game by Spencer Rattler that South Carolina could have had many more points. The fumble after the block punt. I wasn't really disappointed with Satterfield after the Kentucky game. And last week, to an extent, I get upset about the again, what I called the first technical drive where they got the ball at the 5 and they didn't try to run it. But, at the end of the day, South Carolina is got to be better out of the gate. And I think that starts tomorrow, because that crowd, 4:00 tomorrow, it's not an early game. It's not like you're going to Auburn and Arkansas where it's going to be an 11 a.m. kick and everybody's going to be sleepy and not really invested. 4:00's a good game time. You're going to have had people tailgating. I think the environment tomorrow, while it won't be a night game, is still going to be really good, and you can feed off of that early on.
Yeah, and they need to. Whether it's a quick turnover or another special teams player, whatever it is. I mean, I do believe in like turnover luck to an extent, and that's sort of a big analytics thing. Like who do you bet against going into a season is usually the team that had the most turnover luck the year before, because that stuff is not consistent week to week. But the special team stuff and South Carolina just being sort of opportunistic under this staff has been very consistent. At what point does it stop being a luck thing? And that's just, you can go into a week expecting the special teams to make a play. And each week it feels like South Carolina needs the special teams to make a play to win the game. And I don't know how long we can rely on it, but I don't know how long. I mean, we can rely on the crowd as well. It's a sellout. It's going to be loud. They're going to need to be there early. And we can't wait till the second half again. I mean, South Carolina, they just got to jump on them early. And, that if South Carolina's not spotted 17 points with a kickoff return, a interception to the 5-yard line, and a snap off the quarterback's chest, then they probably don't win that game. So you can't rely on stuff like that week to week. You need to just get out there and have a good plan and attack them early. And I hope that they can come out swinging, and I hope they just come out running the football. I'd love to see a long drive where Marshawn Lloyd gets 6 carries on the opening drive and South Carolina just marches down the field. But again, we're this far along. I'm not expecting it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to put it that way, and I'm with you. And certainly I hope for the best. I hope South Carolina comes out tomorrow, but it is a trend that now is pretty much happens each and every week. Now the good news is they seem to find a rhythm in the second half, but I think tomorrow night if you can get the crowd going early, because as Will on our text line, he says, to be honest, Bill, I'm not worried about the Missouri. I'm not worried about Missouri offensively or defensively. Marcus Satterfield is the only reason this game will even be close. We win the turnover battlefield, and Satterfield shows up. He is predicting 28-13. And I'm with you because I don't think Missouri's offense is going to come out and throw a huge scare into the defense. What I do think, what I think is possible is that South Carolina's offense keeps Missouri in the defense. We'll continue talking about this coming up in about 45 minutes. We'll make some picks on the game, not just this game, but on other games as well. You're listening to Patrick Perret, Bill Gunner. He's producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Anniversary Rewind
2010. Alabama beats Texas 37-21 to win the national title in college football. The New Orleans Saints beat the Indy Colts 31-17 in the Super Bowl. Duke edges Butler to win the NCAA men's basketball championship. UConn beats Stanford to complete a perfect season. The South Carolina men's basketball team went 15-16. The women finished 14-14. The football team went 9-5 and won the SEC East, losing to number 2 Auburn in the SEC championship game. And the Gamecocks baseball team beat UCLA to win the national championship.
South Carolina wins the College World Series. Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Midland Air Service Experts.
An accident 26 eastbound at Sunset Boulevard, that's exit 110. An accident 20 eastbound at Monticello Road, exit 68. An accident on 20 westbound, blocking the shoulder, South Carolina 6, exit 55. And a hit and run with injuries at Highway 6, south of Bush River Road.
Furnace freeze-ups? There's an expert for that.
Let your local heating experts at Midland Air Service Experts keep you warm. Right now, save $50 on a precision tune-up. Call 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
Life matters. On a trip out west, I went to see Oral Hershiser pitch. It was near the end of his career, and I think he was pitching for the Giants. Anyway, I sat down with my hot dog and Coke, happy to see this great pitcher in person before he retired. You know he has a shady past. It came from an old-timer a couple of seats away. Well, none of us are perfect, but I knew nothing that was shady in Oral's past, and when I asked for clarification, I got it. He's descended from a Hessian mercenary who fought for the British and against General Washington. Then his equally ancient buddy shared his own thoughts. Come on, Rob, that was years ago. Everybody deserves a second chance. I was amazed at the exchange, but I was also celebrating that through the grace of God, we can receive a second chance, even if the offense is over 200 years old. This is Pastor Stephen Chitty. Remember, life matters, and so do you. Go to clcolumbia.com for in-person and live streaming service times.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis.
Because like you said, they need to contact them. So I'm just texting. I think they got it taken care of.
Yeah, I've even told them to call. You know, when they call upstairs, they leave messages. They call me back, say they never got a return phone call. It's been a mess.
Babble's lessons are fun. They only take like 3 weeks. You're speaking another language.
I love that Babble's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Did you know a fire department responds to a fire every 23 seconds? It is Fire Prevention Month. First Alert is reminding you to be prepared by installing smoke and carbon monoxide alarms at every level and in each bedroom of your home. Don't forget to add First Alert fire extinguishers on every level, plus in common spaces like the kitchen, and know how to use them. Protect your whole home with safety you can trust by visiting firstalert.com and Lowe's stores today.
Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Take advantage of the fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for all.
Pretty sure Deshaun only played 3 years. Yeah. I mean, Clemson is the topic of discussion all over the place. They have been one of the lead topics for like most college football shows this week. Talking about just because they looked so bad against Syracuse.
The Heritage Play Studios. It is 1075.
I'm fully with you, Craig. I agree. On the Bell stuff. Yeah, but more than 13 snaps. He's going to be a top 100 pick in the draft.
$803-404-6100. That's how you can be a part of the program if you want to do so. Coming up in about 37 minutes, Patrick, we will make some picks, I reckon. We've got to pick a couple games for the weekend. It's not the best weekend of college football. You're in the DMV and you are attending a wedding. It is a Friday wedding, which I guess is allowed during college football season. But without making any picks just yet, any other particular game that you are fired up to see? Georgia, Florida normally is fun. Shouldn't be this weekend. I feel like Ohio State's about to rip Penn State a new one. It's Oklahoma State, Kansas State is your 9 versus 22 game this weekend. Kentucky, Tennessee, you got one?
Nothing that blows me away. I mean, I am intrigued that Ohio State's traveling to Happy Valley. Penn State always, even when they're not very good and they get blown out by Michigan, it feels like Ohio State's a game they get up for and play it a little bit better. I'm intrigued to see how Kentucky can hold up against Tennessee. I think that might just be a bloodbath, but Kentucky's defense has been good, and maybe this is like they can find some magic and keep that thing close. But I'm honestly more excited to see what everybody does this week as we head into next week, because next week is the big one where we'll get to see Tennessee, Georgia, and if Tennessee steamrolls Kentucky and Georgia steamrolls Florida, which the spreads indicate is going to happen in pretty much both games, then that's gonna fire people up even more. So if I had to pick one game to watch outside of the Gamecocks, it's going to be that Tennessee-Kentucky game.
That'd be 7 o'clock on ESPN. Number 19, Kentucky against number 3, Tennessee. We'll pick that game coming up in the next hour there. Tennessee's interesting, man. You're right. You mentioned it. I've kind of gone over the scenario, and I'm kind of pulling for chaos where Tennessee, let's see, Georgia beats Tennessee, right? Georgia goes to the SEC championship game, and then Alabama beats Georgia. So you've got a one-loss Alabama with a win over Georgia, a one-loss Georgia with a win over Tennessee, and a one-loss Tennessee with a win over Alabama, and how you figure out who in that group is deserving to go to the college football playoff. I personally will admit, I don't want to see three SEC teams in the college football playoff. That's not what I'm pulling for. But the chaos and somebody being left out of those 3 teams, who would you leave out in that scenario? If that is the scenario, who do you leave out there? And we've lost Patrick. I think that tends to happen.
Sorry, I clicked mute on my.
Okay, no, we haven't lost Patrick.
My face clicked the mute button. I think you have to leave out Tennessee. You can't leave out the conference champion. You can't leave out the team that beat Tennessee to get to the conference championship game. Georgia's pretty much wire to wire number 1. Not literally wire to wire because Alabama opened up at number 1, but essentially wire to wire number 1. you can't leave them out. I think what Tennessee hopes, if they do lose to Georgia next week, is that Georgia wins the SEC championship. So Georgia's then Tennessee's second. If it's Alabama or if it's LSU, LSU is going to be a 3-loss team at that point. Alabama's going to be 2-loss with losses to both Eastern powers. So now Tennessee's sitting there like, hey, the only team we lost to is number 1 in the country and the SEC champion. You got to put us in at large. I think that's what Tennessee's hoping for.
We will continue to talk about this in the next hour coming up. Should be a lot of fun. We'll make some picks, and we will get into the schedule that we'll continue breaking down that South Carolina-Missouri game. Patrick will take a quick break. He's recovering from what he said was an open bar last night at the wedding. Glad you have survived so far this morning.
I'm going to go eat some continental breakfast downstairs in the next 15 minutes.
All right, there you go. Chris Deering will join us. Big game, Lexington Dutch Fork tonight. A couple Mr. Football finalists a part of that. We'll get Chris's take and yours as well as we roll along. It's the early game, 107.5 The Game.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary. It's Columbia Sports.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I will get to you. All right, buddy. Go get some breakfast.
Yep.
In the market for an electric vehicle, ask about additional funds for the purchase and installation of a charging station. Dodgeland has the largest new 2023 Ram Charger Challenger inventory around. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT and get 1.9% finance bumps or even craters in your credit card. Yet, when other dealers say no, JT says yes to approve. Drive the Ram Charger or Challenger of your dreams. Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. Dodgeland on Greystone, JT'sDodge.com. We power Mountain Valley Foundation Services. We're proud to share some of what our customers have said about us.
I was having problems with water in my crawl space during heavy rain. I was concerned about mold and the air my family was breathing. I'm so happy I called. The problem was fixed and I'm not stressed anymore.
Mountain Valley Foundation Services can keep your home and family safe. Visit fixmyfoundation.com to book your free inspection. Mountain Valley Foundation Services. Solid foundation.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Pioneer Tree Service has more than 4 decades helping homeowners maintain and manage trees on their property. Their skilled crew offers customized solutions that match your needs. But tree trimming and tree removal can be dangerous. You need to trust the people that are doing the job before attempting to remove the limbs. Pioneer Tree Service, free quote. You remove them safely, make sure the trees grow from potential trouble such as roof lines and driveways. Cutting down trees takes more than a chainsaw. Even branches can weigh thousands. The removal must be handled with care. Pioneer Tree Service offers a full complement of state-of-the-art heavy equipment, track hose to bucket trucks to safely remove trees, stumps. And no matter where you live, the gang girls can get there. I want you to call them at 803-794-8250.
When you're buying a new home, Cap Center has everything you need with a collaborative mortgage and realty team all under one roof.
As an IT manager, communication is important to me. Cap Center was upfront and gave me the savings and responsive service I expect. I will certainly work with them again.
Click Cap Center's team of local experts to work for you. Save time and money with zero closing costs. Cap Center. Believe it. Equal housing lender. Restrictions apply. Visit capcenter.com for details. NMLS ID number 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Gathering family and friends around a beautiful fire. Holiday tradition. Let Palmetto Propane upgrade your fireplace with the propane or natural gas with our premium gas logs and complete installation and service. Our Palmetto Propane park and patio home stores are open so you can see the area's finest gas logs, fire features, and grills. Visit PalmettoPropane.com to connect with us online and find the location.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. Football Friday. Getting you ready for the weekend.
Where your body will be glued to the couch.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game. The early game with Bill Coulter.
Decorating the studio at 6:37 in the morning. Yoga and Jensen, if you're watching on the live stream, you're seeing us entertain ourselves by trying to move a flag around and get it stuck in the wall.
Then you write things down a little bit.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
You're not going to believe this.
107.5.
He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator.
The Game.
Yeah. Get up. Yeah.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on anything you've heard this morning. We do have a poll question out there on what will happen Saturday night as South Carolina and Missouri hook up. Right now, over 100 votes in, and a lot of people are confident. Chris Deering, as he joins us, a lot of people are confident. South Carolina, not just to win, but to cover the 3.5, 74% of the vote, as we welcome in Chris Deering for our CNT Foundation's High School Highlights of the Week. And before we get to the high school highlights of the week, you've followed South Carolina for a long time. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what do you make of this game and the opportunity in front of Shane Beamer and his team to build upon joining the top 25, becoming bowl eligible, all the great things right there in front of them?
I mean, like you said, it's a great opportunity. Bill, you and I have been around a long time, this program. I hope a lot of fans aren't going into this overlooking Missouri. If you look at Missouri in the SEC, they've played everybody close. They've not had a blowout loss, and I expect this game tomorrow to be tight down to the wire. South Carolina potentially could cover that 3.5, but I don't expect any, 10, 15, 20-point win by South Carolina tomorrow by any stretch of the imagination. I expect it to be close, and, that Missouri defense is pretty good. Got a kid right there from Irmo High School on that defense that, again, was not offered by the previous South Carolina staff. And he got away, and he's turned into an all-SEC defensive end for Missouri. So this could be a tough game. This could be a close game, and I hope people don't expect anything different.
It should be fun. You're right. I know a lot of people have talked about Jalen Hyatt, but Trajan Jeffcoat is a kid, as you just mentioned, that was right here, was at Irmo High School, probably would be helping this team, or at least helping with depth. He's a kid that, again, as you just mentioned, got away from the previous staff, was not offered. You could make the case that maybe they need him more so than Hyatt, but either way, that's another guy. So we'll continue to discuss that. Two things real quick, just for everybody that says stuff about kids that get away. Two kids real quick, Chris, that you covered that have stepped up this year and are playing massive parts of the South Carolina team, DQ Smith and Nick Eamon-Worry. As you watched them at Irmo, and obviously Smith was the quarterback at Spring Valley, did you see these kind of performances this early in their career coming?
I'll tell you, to be honest, Eamon-Worry, I sort of expected he could be a contributor. I probably didn't think he could be as good as he's been, as quick as he's gotten this good. But you saw flashes last year. I saw Irmo a couple times, and, he played linebacker, he played safety, he played corner. That they would put him in the best position that they needed him in that particular week. And, to have that type of versatility on the high school level is pretty big. DQ Smith, because he played quarterback in high school, I thought it would take a couple of years for him to transition to defensive back before he could be a contributor. I thought he could come in and play on special teams some, but man, that kid's come in and he's been good from the start, and it's been impressive to see. And I said it, I've said it to a bunch of my friends, said it to a bunch of my work colleagues and stuff. Even the Jalen Hyatts, the Jeff Coates, all the kids that get away. Man, these kids that played locally, I pull for them all, and it's great to see these kids step up onto a big stage and play a big role for South Carolina. Got to know both of them a little bit last year, and so I'm a big fan, and I want to see them continue to do great things.
Let's move to the high school portion of this particular segment. And let's start with this. 7 finalists named for Mr. Football here in the state of South Carolina. Before we get to the schedule, 2 of them will face off Lexington and Dutch Fork tonight. But your thoughts on the finalists for Mr. Football here in the state of South Carolina?
Much like anything else, there's could be some arguments that some kids got left off. But I think overall it's a pretty good group of kids. Like you just mentioned, Jonah Norris from Lexington, Jarvis Green from Dutch Fork. That's two pretty good ones right there. The Lenora Sellers, I know South Carolina fans are watching what he's doing over at South Florence. He's one of the finalists. So, I think they got a pretty good mix, pretty good group. Xavier McLeod, another South Carolina commitments in there. So, again, sometimes you get left out every year that might be deserving, but I think overall it's a pretty good group of 7.
Let's talk about that game that we just mentioned. Jarvis Green, Jonah Norris, two of the better running backs in the Midlands. They'll square off tonight, Lexington and Dutch Fork, and it'll be a lot of fun. Your thoughts?
Well, so Bill, I know early in the season we talked all year about as some of these teams, sort of called up the Dutch Fork. So I did a little bit of a deep dive into the region portion of the schedule, since there were common opponents between these two schools, and maybe the gap's not closing as much as we thought. So in the 3 region games, Dutch Fork has outscored their opposition 159-7. As impressive as that is, the total yardage in those games might even be more impressive. Dutch Fork outgained those 3 opponents 1,388 yards to 278. That's a huge difference in 3 high school football games. Can this Lexington team make that a little bit closer? Yeah, I think they can. They got a little bit more firepower than White Knoll, River Bluff, and Chapin. Jonah Norris is going to have to be key. But, again, I think that where separates Lexington from those other schools maybe a little bit is they got Taden Mons at quarterback. He's in his 2nd year starting. He's a junior. They have 2 good wide receivers in Kamadi Maxwell and Jared Mewburn. So I think these kids they can move the ball against Lexington. But that, Dutch Fork's offense right now, they struggled early in the year. I mean, just to make no bones about it, they were not clicking, but they had injuries. And right now they're playing really well, and that defense has played well all season. That's a huge task for Lexington. It is at home, so I expect a big crowd out there. But Dutch Fork is still the cream of the crop here in the Midlands, might be the cream of the crop still in the state. So we'll see how Lexington can deal with that type of firepower and defensive ability from Dutch Fork tonight.
Another really fun one will decide a region title. You've got Gilbert and Brooklyn Casey taking on, I think this is the Gamecock Larry matchup. I think he dislikes Gilbert and is rooting for him. I believe he's a BC guy. Gilbert and BC tonight, Chris.
Yeah, that's going to be another great game. And, looking there's a lot of games, 3 games here in the Midlands, potentially. We'll talk about this in just a minute. They could decide region championships, but this might be the closest one of the 3, actually. Brooklyn Casey and Gilbert have been, they both played tough non-region schedules to get them ready for this region, and they hadn't had much challenge in the region. Looking at it, like I said, I did another big breakdown on this one. Gilbert's outscored the region opponents 42-16, while Brooklyn Casey's outscored their region opponents 36-6. So that Brooklyn Casey's defense gave up over 63 times early in this year. But again, it was against really, really good teams, powerhouse teams, higher classifications. So I think they've gotten better. And this game's going to come down to whoever runs the football the best. They both are going to line up. They're going to want to run the football. Gilbert's got the 2 good backs, and Elias Graham Woodbury and Jaden Allen Hendricks. They're both over 1,000 yards. Name's at Brooklyn Casey. He's been really good recently. Deshaun Washington, he's been good all year. And then that defense for BC, like I said, they've gotten a lot better. Jaden Johnson, Traquan Singleton, Will Young, those kids have played a lot better as of late. So that's going to be a good game. I don't know. Again, whoever runs the football the best in that one, I think is going to come out on top.
The other game, I think you mentioned 3 is what I sense. We talked Lexington, Dutch Fork, Gilbert, BC, and then as you mentioned, Ridgeview and AC Flora, and some stuff going on with that game. What can you share? What can you get into as far as that game for a region title?
Well, all week long, we thought that was going to be for a region title as well. Came out, I heard first thing yesterday morning, and the high school league sent out a notice. There's a hearing today at 11 a.m. at the high school league for Ridgeview potentially having some ineligible players play earlier in the season. The timing of this is somewhat suspect, I believe. And so these kids have to wait around till they have this hearing at 11 a.m. to see if they're playing for a region championship tonight or not. And I mean, we're not going to know anything till after that. And if the ruling goes against Ridgeview, I almost think they have to win tonight to even make the playoffs. And you're looking at a potential number 1 or number 2 seed out of this region, either not even making the playoffs or falling way down and having to go on the road in the first round. It's unfortunate. I believe I've heard from both sides on how the things could turn out. When things get to the high school league, you just never know. So a lot of eyes will be pointed towards I-26 right here in Columbia around 11 o'clock this morning to see how that pans out. And again, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping it's for a region championship tonight. But you just don't know at this point.
That's a good point. A few others that let's get to here. This is always I love the kind of the rural games, and I'm not as familiar with the two teams, so not sure how good the game will be. But Saluda traveling to Batesburg, Leesville, and two programs that I knew growing up traveled through Saluda. I know it's a proud, passionate fan base. Batesburg was really good. Lexington, we used to play them all the time. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, Saluda was number 1 in the state for quite a few weeks. Then they lost back-to-back games. And so right now the winner of this game will finish 3rd in that region. And, they're going to have to go on the road in the first round. Well, let me take that back, because I think in Class 2A, that will put them 3rd place in that region will host the first round game. But the loser of this will make the playoffs and also have to they have to go on the road. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't been to Batesburg in a number of years, and I was always one of my favorite places to go. Not only you get to hit Shealy's before you go over to the high school game and cover it, and just a great atmosphere out of Batesburg. They've been down a little bit this year. They do have a kid that I know is visiting South Carolina this weekend, Patrick Swigert. Saw him in the preseason jamboree. Good-looking kid. Plays tight end, defensive end. So I know he's on a visit to South Carolina this weekend. And again, it should be even though it's for 3rd place in the region, I don't expect that game is at Batesburg, so I expect a big crowd out there, and just people to turn out in that community to support that team.
A fun one right here in the Midlands. This is my father's alma mater versus my mother's alma mater. It's Lower Richland and Dreer. Your thoughts?
I saw Lower Richland last week, Bill, and I will tell you, I think this team is hitting its stride right as we get ready to enter the playoffs. They beat OW last week 31-0. I thought it was a really big defensive performance by the Diamonds. Nate Branch is back. He's missed not a handful of games, about 2.5 games this year. He's had to sit out. He's an East Carolina wide receiver commit, and he's back. They got Mikai Campbell, Shrine Bowl selection at wide receiver. The quarterback's playing well. Lamarian Pearson is the running back. He's playing really well. They got a huge offensive line up front. If Lower Richland can win tonight, now again, they have to beat Dreer. I think they finished 3rd in that region, and somebody's going to have a really tough first round home playoff game if that happens. So I like this Lower Richland team a lot. I think a lot of people expected more out of them throughout the season. They did struggle, but I do think they're playing their best football right now. And again, that's what you want to do. And they looked pretty impressive last week, and I think that's going to continue. And, if Dreer wins, that's a great first year for Corey Jenkins. We talked about him early in the year, former South Carolina player. He's taken over his alma mater at Dreer, and he's putting new life back into that program. I've seen a lot of kids, fired up about it. I live not far down the road from Dreer, so follow them and AC Floor maybe a little bit closer than the rest because they're so close to my house. But Corey Jenkins is going to do well at that program. He's to get the kids in there, get them excited to play, and no matter what happens tonight, he's had a really good first year.
Another Mr. Football finalist. This is according to a text message that would like a little information. Tyler Smith with Barnwell, or Barnwell. Depends on, I guess, who you talk to. I call it Barnwell. But 9-0 on the season, playing Wade Hampton for the region title is what a text message comes in. You know much about that?
I know Tyler Smith is a really good football player. He plays both ways. Hardly rarely comes off the football field. He's going to be a good one at the next level with whoever gets him. And our Barnwell team is really good. They're 9-0, like you said, playing for a region championship. In Class 2A, I think you got to look down in the low country at Oceanside Collegiate as maybe the favorite going into the playoffs next week. But I wouldn't count this Barnwell team out. They're gonna be good. They can have home playoff games, and I like Barnwell. I have not seen them yet this year. I watched some of Smith's highlights, and he's a really good looking kid.
He's Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every Friday for the CNT Foundation's high school highlights of the week here. Chris, any games that you want to mention that I've left out? I know we've had you on a good bit here, and as we head toward playoff time, there's a lot of good teams to highlight. We try and do it as much as we can, but I don't want to miss anything. So is there any games you that we should highlight that we've missed?
Looking back in the region with Dutch Fork and Lexington, you got River Bluff and Chapin playing tonight. If River Bluff wins, they'll finish third in the region. White Knoll will finish fourth. If Chapin is able to win that one tonight, it puts that last playoff spot in a three-way tie with White Knoll. So I don't know how that really shakes out if that happens. So again, those teams are playing for their playoff lives tonight. In the region we talked about with Lower Richland and Drea, that one's a big one. And then back to depending on what happens at the high school league today, Irmo and Lugoff Elgin and Arnie and Westwood, going into before yesterday, we thought those would be for the final two playoff spots in that region. One of those teams could potentially get an at-large berth, but the winners of those two games would definitely be in. But, depending on what happens with the high school league, one of those teams might finish second in the region. So a lot of things might be on the line in those two games. So a lot to play for, a lot to look forward to tonight. We have playoff brackets released in the morning. I'll do my best to get them all out, before noon, hopefully tomorrow, and get ready for next week when things really count.
He is Chris Deering. Again, follow him on Twitter. CDeering82 is the way to do that. Appreciate all you've done for us. Playoff season will be here next week, Chris. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. It feels like just the other day we were talking about how hot and sweaty it would be going to cover that first game, but here we are ready for the playoffs. Weather's cooler, man. Look forward to it tonight and hope you enjoy it.
All right, sounds good, Bill. You have a great weekend, and I'll call in tonight with Patrick and Tommy and give a recap. Might have some playoff brackets already set by then. So looking forward to tonight and see what happens.
Sounds like a plan, buddy. Enjoy your evening. He's Chris Deering joining us. Prep Red Zone Network does a absolutely fantastic job, and I'm thoroughly thrilled each and every week that he joins us for the CNT Foundation's high school highlights of the week. When we come back, we'll get back to Patrick Perret. We'll make some picks. We'll break down that Carolina-Missouri game. There's a lot to do and only about 41 minutes to do it in, so don't you go anywhere. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game
is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game, and the new 107.5 The Game app.
Enjoying heating and air. It sounds like something you wouldn't really think of until your heating and air unit goes out. Then all of a sudden, oh boy, it's a big deal. Don't let it go out. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Get one of their trained technicians out to do a little inspection, a little maintenance on your heating and air unit right now, and make sure that heating and air unit is ready for the winter. It does actually get kind of cold around here, and trust me, if you've ever woke up to a house where the heating unit has gone out, well, you know that that's not enjoyable at all. So don't let that happen. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Get your inspection scheduled today, 803-677-1500. You need to just tell them Bill Gunner sent you. I tell you what, also right now, not only do you need to get your heating and air unit inspected, you don't want to let some little critters come into your house from the cold and be heated up because you've got some faulty air duct work right now. You can get an inspection on your air duct system by calling AAA Heating and Air and get free ductwork inspections now through December. Again, a trained technician will come out to your house, make sure everything's sealed tight. This way, you can get all the comfort of a nice warm heating unit while all the critters get left out in the cold. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Again, 803-677-1500. Get that inspection scheduled. Don't wait any longer. Call AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. Sunday night, the pressure will be white hot on Aaron Rodgers to start salvaging the Packers' season. Right now, A-Rod looks uninterested and frustrated at an offense whose mistake-prone players he publicly called out this week. Meantime, Indy's second-year quarterback Sam Ehlinger will be in the spotlight as the desperation successor to benched veteran Matt Ryan. I'm Boomer Esiason. CBS Sports Radio.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Sponsored by Midland Air Service Experts.
An accident with injuries at Run Road in US 1. Also an accident with injuries at Fairmount Drive near Leesburg Road. A hit and run with injuries, Highway 6 south of Bush River. An accident at Sparkleberry Lane at Clemson. And a disabled vehicle 26 eastbound before Sunset, exit 110.
Furnace freeze-ups? There's an expert for that.
Let your local heating experts at Midland Air Service Experts keep you warm with $50 off any furnace repair. Call 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
It's hunting season, and Shooter's Choice in West Columbia has everything you possibly want and then some at great prices, sold to you by a staff that is friendly and knowledgeable. Shooter's Choice in West Columbia is the place for you. Shooter's Choice has all you need for dove and deer season. Check out their great selection of hunting rifles, ARs, and much more, plus top-end accessories to complement your purchase. Make this the best hunting season ever with Shooter's Choice. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Shooter's Choice.
Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Did you know State Credit Union now offers the same services big banks offer? Services like online account opening, online loan applications, mobile banking, remote check deposit, person-to-person transfers, electronic signatures, and more. All with better interest rates and lower fees than the big banks. Check them out today and see why over 400 people per month are joining State Credit Union. Visit them online at SCU.com. That's SCSCU.com. Equal housing lender, federally insured by the NCUA.
Approved credit, call 866-243-4623 for details. JT's Jeep Ram has the largest inventory.
All right, I got 4 games so far for us to pick.
Which 4? South Carolina, Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Yep. South Carolina, Ohio State, Penn State, Florida, Georgia, and Kentucky, Tennessee. Michigan, Michigan State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Well, that's a top 25. That's a ranked matchup.
What time is that game? You have
3:30.
3:30.
Yeah.
I got it right here. Okay. All right, we'll do that one. Yeah, that's a Kansas State's favored by a point.
Big
thank you to Chris
for joining us there for the CNT Foundation's high school highlights of the week, as he does each and every week. Final week of the regular season tonight, playoffs next week. So look forward to catching up with him on that. Anything you're interested in discussing, if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. We will start making some picks here coming up in the next segment. But Patrick, back to the South Carolina Missouri game. Soda City Bobby weighs in and says, I see us playing down to Missouri's talent level. I think it comes down to a missed or blocked point after touchdown. He's got South Carolina 24, Missouri 23. It is one of those games where I just don't anticipate South Carolina coming out and having and being able to overrun Missouri early. I think this one ends up being very close and a ball game with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time one of these games was truly a blowout or like not close?
South Carolina or Missouri? South Carolina and
South
Missouri.
Carolina versus Missouri, yeah.
Well, the 2019 game, Ryan Helinski, I mean, it was close. South Carolina drove down in the second half, and Helinski threw a pick six, if you remember correctly. That was the game. You know, he threw the pick six, and he had the weird pass that got batted down to him, and then he tried to bat it down, and they labeled it a fumble. They said he caught it. That, I guess, technically wasn't really a close game. The one prior to that, so then you go to 2018, that was the monsoon game, where the Michael Skarnecchia monsoon game where South Carolina won the ball game late. And the one prior to that, Debo Samuel in 2017, Samuel had the kickoff return for a touchdown after South Carolina fell behind 10-0. And then Jemias Williams, who's somehow still playing college football 13 years later, had a pick, and Samuel ran one in, and Carolina kind of cruised past Missouri that night. But you're all right. 3 of the last 4 have been, touchdown in 2020, 3 points last year. It's generally a pretty close series.
And that Helinski game, I mean, if he throws a touchdown on the 1 yard line instead of a pick six, that game can be totally different outcome at that point. So it's always a tight matchup. I think they're very similarly talented teams. I think South Carolina is more talented, but it's not some tremendous advantage. I mean, Missouri doesn't recruit great, but it's a hard school to recruit too. But they've always just been right there. And maybe I'm looking on Twitter or looking nationally and seeing people sort of glossing over this game, because we have gotten some comments of people saying I'm scared. I don't know what Carolina fans you're talking to, because I'm not looking past Missouri, but it just has felt like everyone said, okay, well, we got Texas A&M out of the way. We got the next 2 wins are pretty much in the bag, and then let's look forward to Tennessee and Clemson to close out the season. And that swing game against Florida is really the swing game. These next 2 are easy victories. It feels like everybody's kind of going around with that mindset, but maybe not. And I think South Carolina fans have been burned enough by Missouri going into games that they feel like they should be favored and end up losing. Last year, I think South Carolina fans definitely felt like they should win that game. And I was in Missouri, and it stunk. It was cold. It was miserable. And South Carolina just didn't play very well. So they need to come out not like a team that just beat Texas A&M and dominated Texas A&M. And they shouldn't come out feeling that way. They should come out motivated in front of a sellout crowd at 4 p.m. and be ready to attack them like they did A&M.
South Carolina has, as we just mentioned, has lost the last 3 games in this series. Missouri has a 7-5 advantage in this series. Again, they've won the last 3. 2 of those were neutral site games. They were bowl games, however, prior to South Carolina and Missouri, prior to Missouri joining the SEC as they did in what year was that? Patrick, you remember what year now? I'm trying to think out. 2012, I believe. I believe that is correct. As I go back and think real quick to Missouri's history. But since Missouri joined the league, Patrick, these 2 teams are 5-5 against each other. You're right. And as I just pull it up, South Carolina blew out Missouri, blew them out in the open. I remember being at that game. South Carolina welcomed Missouri to the league that day. It was September 22nd, 2012. South Carolina won 31-10. They really could have won 50 some odd. They could have named their score. There were some penalties and some fumbles late, and Steve Spurrier, they were rolling. Connor Shaw had a long touchdown run, get called back for holding that day, and it was on a CBS game, and Missouri just wasn't ready for that environment. It was nothing like they'd seen in the Big 12. Ever since then, you're right. 2013 was the famed field goal game in Columbia, Missouri that South Carolina won. 2014, South Carolina's got the big lead, 20-7, and somehow loses 21-20. 2015 was kind of an ugly game. It was a Drew Lock start against Lorenzo Nunez. Then it was a 10-point game. South Carolina blew out Missouri in Columbia in 2017, and they've been close ever since, 37-35, 17-10, 31-28. The outlier is that Ryan Helinski game. So you're right, this series is close. We'll pick this one, and we will pick several others, Ohio State, Florida, Kentucky, and Oklahoma State, Kansas State. When we come back, you're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game.
Jay Phillips, Heath Klein, and Tommy Moody.
Sharing their memories of 107.5 The Game and celebrating our 15th anniversary.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Just download the 107.5 The Game app or go to 1075thegame.com to check out the podcast.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game and the new 107.5 The Game app.
Hey guys, it's me, wrestling legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission to help millions of guys put more flair down there with Mount Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. Go to joinnuimage.com and save 20% with promo code RADIO.
With approved credit, call 888-411-7640 for details. Dodgeland has the largest new 2023 Ram Charger Challenger inventory around. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT's and get 1.9% financing. Bumps or even craters in your credit? Forget it. When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Ram Charger or Challenger of your dreams. Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. Dodgeland on Greystone, jtsdodge.com. Ram Power Days.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Hi, I'm Glenn Matthews,
And I'm Melanie Matthews.
and we are the third generation owners of Modern Exterminating Company.
In a time when corporate consolidation, high-pressure door knockers, and inexperienced startups are becoming the norm, isn't it nice to have an experienced, local, family-owned company that you can count on since 1955?
Modern Exterminating has been the local, independent industry leader in the pest control business for the last 67 years. Experience the local, family-owned difference for yourself at 803-765-2315 or pestfreesc.com.
Hey, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
When we say no tricks, only treats, we mean it.
At Pope Davis, we are literally handing out treats.
Until October 31st, buy any set of 4 Mastercraft tires and we will give you a big bag of candy.
That is a treat. Wait, what if you get spooked by candy?
Well, Karen, then I've got a pumpkin spice candle for you.
He's dead serious.
Buy some tires, get some candy.
Or a pumpkin spice candle.
Only at Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919.
Yeah, the Flair commercial is something. Just got a text message from somebody else saying that Ric Flair commercial is so bad. It's an interesting one for sure. How old is Flair? Is Flair 70? I mean, he just wrestled. I know he just wrestled, but
He is 73. Very good. Very good, Stephen. I'm on to the fall of the House of FIFA. So I'm reading
How's
that.
that?
Interesting. Just all about the corruption. There's also a Netflix documentary coming out, like leading up to the World Cup. I think I saw a 9-part documentary talking about the FIFA corruption. It comes out November 9th.
I'm pretty sure he does use.
Eight zero 6100. Let's make some picks here on the season. Patrick and I should have totaled this up right before I started, but last weekend we were not a bad weekend. Patrick went 3-3. I went 3-3. We both got the South Carolina game. We both picked the Gamecocks to cover in that game. Patrick picked Syracuse to cover. He was right. I picked Clemson. The Tigers let me down once again. Both of us had Mississippi on the road at LSU. They did not win. They weren't even close. I had Oklahoma State to cover the 6.5. Patrick went Texas. We both had UCLA. They weren't close. And we did get our locks of the week correct. Patrick had Duke plus 9.5. Duke got the outright upset over Miami. Whew, Miami, Patrick, not good.
Bad football coach. They did just land Cormac McClain last night. I don't know how that happened.
That NIL stuff will pay off. So let's pick this week. Let's start up in the Big Ten. It is a matchup of ranked teams, number 13 versus number 2. It'll be a noon game, so I haven't seen. I don't think Penn State's doing their typical whiteout because doesn't have quite the effect that it would typically at night. Ohio State's a 14.5-point favorite. Where are you going?
I'm scared to do it, but I am going to pick Ohio State to cover the big number. It's not, I guess it's not even that big. I think they're more than 15.5 points better. That's the last number I saw. I didn't even hear what you just said, but I think they need to flex their muscles at some point. They haven't dominated one of their quote unquote good opponents yet, and they're still scoring at a ridiculous clip. C.J. Stroud's playing really well. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in the country. I think they need to go into Happy Valley and just beat the heck out of somebody good and make themselves feel better. But Penn State always plays them close, and I'm a little bit nervous.
What you just said, they need to go into Happy Valley and beat someone good. Even if they beat Penn State, they still will not have beaten anybody good. The absolute only reason, Patrick, that I would even consider that I even give thought to this is the fact that Penn State, at least last week, finally rose up and smashed Minnesota. Other than that, Penn State has really not been in. I'm not giving them credit for thumping Auburn. You don't get credit for that. Other than that, they got drilled by Michigan. They won by 10 over Northwestern. They've beaten Central Michigan, Ohio. They struggled with Purdue in the opener and really should have lost that game on the road. This is not a good Penn State team. But they are no way. I'm not sure they're a top 25 team, let alone number 13 in the country. Ohio State, I've got Ohio State. If you gave me 3 touchdowns tomorrow, I would take Ohio State. I think Ohio State goes in and runs Penn State out of It'll be Sad Valley by the end of the game. I'm going Ohio State.
Joey Porter Jr. versus Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jackson Smith-Njigba. That's going to be the best individual matchup of the weekend in college football.
There you go. Good. Yeah, we missed the NFL breakdown. Florida versus Georgia, the world's largest cocktail party. I don't care what anybody says. That's what it is. That's what it will always be. It may not always be in Jacksonville, though. We haven't talked enough about that. And given that I don't have any really ties to that game, I would be ashamed. I would be sad to see it move away from Jacksonville. But your thoughts, 22.5 is what the Bulldogs are favored by.
I think I might just kind of roll with the trend of just picking the favorites on the big numbers. I think I'm just going to take Georgia. Same rationale as Ohio State. They need to flex their muscles against a team that good. I don't know what we want to classify Florida as right now. They're not a high quality football team, but they have good players. Anthony Richardson can make a couple plays and beat this number by himself. But I want to see the hype of next weekend be Tennessee and Georgia both so far have been unchallenged by the teams that they should beat. They whoop them. Tennessee destroying LSU, beating Alabama, destroying Kentucky, Georgia destroying everybody in their way so far. And Georgia's the best team in the country that nobody's talking about right now. So I would like to see on a relatively big stage, Georgia just go out there and slaughter Florida. So I'll take the 22.5.
I'm with you. I think Georgia knows they need to make a statement in this game. You get this, especially going into likely a number one versus number 3 showdown next week, Georgia versus Tennessee. I think that I'm sure game day will be there. It'll be a huge event and really a showcase game for the SEC that doesn't involve Alabama. But I think Georgia knows they need to make a statement, especially starting here late in the season to go on this run. And Florida, if you can slow down Anthony Richardson, which I think Georgia will, they will have no problem. You really look at it. Since that remember that close game that everybody talked about with Missouri, 26-22, well, Georgia's kind of struggling. Well, they've won the last 2 games 97-10. I know it's Auburn and Vanderbilt, but Georgia's playing fine, and they will shut Florida down. I'm with you. Who is this? Craig just said 41-10 on our live stream. I'm in that ballpark. I'm with you on Georgia running the table here and smacking around Florida tomorrow. Another game on our list is Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Now, this is actually a sneaky good game, Patrick. It is number 22 Kansas State against number 9 Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State last week won. I don't think either of us had them winning that ball game, but they found a way to get past Texas there at home. Now they get Kansas State, who's kind of hovering around the polls. Where are we going with this one?
I'm taking Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's always good, but they've also been very unlucky and just missed out so many times. I mean, literally at the goal line in the Big 12 championship game, the Brandon Whedon team not getting voted into the national championship game. And I think they're just going to look back at that second half of that TCU game and say, we choked away our opportunity to go to the college football playoff. I'm starting to think that they're going to win out and they're going to win the Big 12 and miss out on the college football playoff because of that second half where they just could not hold on to that lead against TCU. I think Oklahoma State's really good. I'll take them.
I am trying very quickly to see what the most recent, because on our live stream, Chuck weighs in and he's exactly right. If Adrian Martinez is not playing tomorrow, it completely changes this game, in my opinion. For all the stuff we talked about him at Nebraska, he has actually had a very good year, Patrick, and it's kind of shown. Maybe he has shown that, who knows, maybe Scott Frost was the problem and not Adrian Martinez. I'm going to go with it. The Kansas State's favored by 1.5. So basically, we're doing a pick 'em here. I'm going to take a chance and go with Oklahoma State that they do indeed get the job done and pull off the victory. But this game should be a lot of fun tomorrow. Again, the game is in Manhattan, Kansas, by the way. 3:30, that game will be on Fox. 803-404-6100. If you want to send in any of your picks, we'll come back. We will pick Kentucky and Tennessee, Missouri and South Carolina, and our locks of the week. You're listening to Patrick Perret, Bill Gunner. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
7 picks. He is 6 touchdowns and 2 picks at home, 0 touchdowns and 5 picks on the road this season. So
ding yourself on that. That's a ding right isn't there. Isn't that keeping with Missouri, isn't that like a Drew Lock? Remember Drew Lock's stats at home? He was like 95% completions, 8 million yards,
yeah,
100
because
touchdowns.
Drew Lock would play 3 games at home.
All right.
Almost irrational. Yeah, it's like it is completely irrational. I just always give myself an aneurysm. Yeah, people are like, wow, this guy's amazing. Like 700 of his yards came against Southeastern Missouri State. That's an actual stat line for an actual game. The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Ian Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $64 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds in the store area.
Dodgeland has the largest new 2023 Ram Charger Challenger inventory around. When other dealers are charging thousands over, you save thousands at JT. You get 1.9% finance, or even craters in your credit? Forget it. When other dealers say no, JT says yes, you're approved. Drive the Ram Charger or Challenger of your dreams. Get 1.9% financing and let JT get you approved. Dodge running on Greystone, JT'sDodge.com. Green Power Days.
Greetings, Black fans. This is Karen Hood with Coldwell Banker Realty. Since 1985, my husband Danny and I have been striving to give better than expected real estate service for our clients in the Midlands of South Carolina. Our son William DiMaggio joined us in 2014, and since then, the Hood team has consistently been recognized as the #1 Coldwell Banker Realty small community in Carolina. If you want honesty, integrity, and results, that type of experience in buying or selling real estate, call the Hood team.
Yeah, Greg Bonix has been looking great. I mean, I don't know what his prospects are as an NFL player, but he looks awesome at Oregon. We're NFL.
I mean, I think Bo Nix was good. Bo Nix really, Patrick, do you think Bo Nix was a decent fit for Gus Malzahn's system?
Yeah.
Do you?
I think so. I think he's really just benefiting from the level of competition right now.
Yeah, that's true.
He looks awesome at Oregon. I mean, he looks like the best athlete on the field every week now.
Whew. All right, I got my lock. It's a little risky. I'm not crazy about it, but
is it a spread or a total?
Spread. Spread. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy about it, but I'm gonna.
Final segment of the Friday morning episode of the early game. Patrick Perret, Bill Gunner, producer Ed Bird. Jen expected back next week. I think her mom is doing better. You can wish her well on Twitter at Jen Jensen Morse is the way to do that. Let's finish up our picks here. So we've picked Penn State, Ohio State. We've picked Florida, Georgia, and we've picked Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Did both of us take Oklahoma State there? Is that right? I didn't type it out as I was. Are you on mute, or is Ed got you? There we go. Now I hear you.
I thought you said you were going out on a limb to take Kansas State.
No, I'm taking I was saying that it's Oklahoma State, but if Adrian Martinez plays and is completely healthy, I'm a little scared of it. But I'm going.
I think it's a 1.5 point, so it really doesn't matter either way. But I think they're on the wrong side. I think this is like all towards home field advantage. And Manhattan is a tough place to play, but I think Oklahoma State's just better than they are.
I do too. Yeah, all right. So both of us are on Oklahoma State. So currently, just for the record, now, by the way, you're at 22 and 26 on the season. We still have plenty of weeks left. You're at 22 and 26. I'm at 26 and 22. It's not like we have a huge disparity there, but currently we have picked all three games the absolute same. Kentucky and Tennessee, Patrick. Kentucky is plus 11 tomorrow night. They go to Tennessee. Tennessee's got Georgia on deck. I don't think they're looking past Kentucky, though.
No, I don't think so. I'm a little. Oh no, I did pick Oklahoma State as a dog. I was gonna say I'm gonna pick 5 favorites here because I'm taking Tennessee. I feel like they Georgia, Ohio State, all these teams. This is like a make a statement week. None of them have teams that should challenge them. Like this should be a blowout. People are still a little bit hesitant to buy in on Tennessee. If Tennessee just dominates Kentucky, there's going to be just so much hype for next week's game. It's going to be the most hyped game of the year.
So you're going Tennessee?
Going Tennessee.
Here's why you wouldn't. Here's why I can't pick Kentucky. How does Tennessee's going to put up 40, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Kentucky's defense is good, but they can't withstand. How does Kentucky score with Tennessee tomorrow night? Like, that's just my point. 11.5, I don't feel like Kentucky can score. Tennessee, it's just working. It's just working right now. I'm with you. So we're both taking Tennessee as well. Let's go ahead. We'll come back. We'll circle back to the Missouri-South Carolina game. We're picking that one. But let's get to our locks of the week. I'll go ahead and give you mine. I was looking. Southern Cal is 6-1. They lost a 1-point game to Utah on the road. Then they got a bye. I don't think Southern Cal is going to make the playoffs, but they are. If they won the Pac-12 championship, they could kind of just make the argument of, hey, we are a one-loss team, right? So they can't lose anymore. And not only can they not lose anymore, they've got to win a few games with style points. And old daddy, Arizona has no problem giving up style points this season. Arizona's given up 39 to Mississippi State. By the way, these games were at home. 39 to Mississippi State. They gave up 49 to Cal, 49 to Oregon, and 49 to Washington. You hear a theme there? They're going to give up a lot of points to Southern Cal, and I don't think they can score with Lincoln Riley. And again, I think Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal have to get style points. They have to obliterate everything in their path to then make the argument, hey, we're a one-loss team. We should get into the playoffs. Minus 15.5, Patrick, is where this line is at. Give me Southern Cal minus the 15.5.
All right. Well, I'm playing a total. I'm going to go Arkansas, Ole Miss, under 62.5. Just feels like a big number. I don't see either of these teams cracking 30. And I was just playing around with totals in my head. Like, even if Arkansas dominates them, and Arkansas, they're not where they want to be right now. They've struggled to kick off SEC play. They got right against.
Wait. Just out of curiosity, because what are we taking?
Under 62.5.
In what game?
Arkansas, Auburn. Arkansas,
okay,
Auburn.
Just checking. I was going to say, now, is Ole Miss going to travel from College Station to take on Arkansas, or is yeah, okay, I got you. All right, so yeah, it's all right. So you're going Arkansas, Auburn.
Arkansas at Auburn. It's a noon game. Not going to be a lot of energy in Jordan Hare Stadium. Neither of these offenses, I think, are capable of scoring 30 on the other. And even if Arkansas bullies them and wins like 38-21, I'm still covering my number. They're both struggling right now. I mean, Arkansas got right last week, sort of, against BYU, but BYU's banged up, and I don't think they've got it in them to score in the 30s.
All right, so under, you said 62.5?
Yep.
All right, so we've got that in there as well. So those are our locks. Southern Cal minus 15.5 is mine. At Arizona, you're going Arkansas, Auburn, under 62.5 for that ball game. All right, final one of the day as we wrap up the program. South Carolina minus 3.5 tomorrow night at hosting Missouri. Where are you going here?
I just have to pick South Carolina. I just think they're substantially better. I mean, I think they're more talented than Missouri, and on paper, they should be able to have their way. I mean, they need to run the ball. Missouri almost lost to Vanderbilt last week. They did shut down the run. They held Vanderbilt to 57 rush yards. So South Carolina is going to need to have a big game on the ground, but I think they're capable of doing it.
I can't take credit for it. Craig on our live stream hit us up earlier and pointed out that Missouri not very good on the road under Eli Drinkowitz in the SEC. They have beaten South Carolina. They've beaten Vanderbilt on the road. That's about it. I think South Carolina gets the job done. I think the offense is going to be entertaining. I don't know if it's entertaining in a good way, Patrick. I'm going with you, South Carolina minus the 3.5. I think it's more low scoring. I actually like the under in this thing. I'm going to take it somewhere in the vicinity of 20-14, 17-10, something like that. I think it's very low scoring. Buddy, appreciate you joining us each and every time. Have fun at your wedding this afternoon. Not your wedding, somebody's wedding.
Somebody's wedding, yeah. It'll be a good time.
Would have been fun.
Back in Nashville on Sunday.
All right. Look forward to talking to you next week. For Patrick Perret, I'm Bill Gunner. Producer Ed Bird's done phenomenal all week long. We will talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
All right.
All right, buddy. Well, have fun. What time's the wedding tonight?
4:30, I think.
Oh, an early wedding then.
Yeah,
4:30.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you have a great day and enjoy it. We'll holler at you next week.
Yep. See everybody next week.
Everybody goes up to see Patrick next week. Gamecocks in Nashville, night game.